Mm-mm-mm. How can there be two of you? I guess it's me. Copy link address. Okay, so I got that. Can you guys hear me? Zero D&D. Can you guys hear me, by the way? I'm just checking to see if I'm coming in here. Seems like I am. Okay, good. Thank God. um, I'm trying to make this work because I wanted to have the stream going tonight and have all you guys come in, sort of thing. Problem that I ran into. Okay, so what happened is last night I was up late last night trying to figure this out, and I found this StreamYard program. So I posted that link last night on Jeff C or on the Patreon, and I didn't go through the registration process because I figured, oh, I'll just do that tomorrow morning, when I'm clear headed and I'm ready to go. Then today, when I got back home, I went on and I did a show with KJ Osborne, and I went to go and sign up for StreamYard. And it was kind of disturbing what happened because I realized and if you've tried to do this, I went through the account and they wanted access to everything. So if I joined up on StreamYard with the duck there, they would have access to everything in my account. They would be able to even post comments and delete videos and whatever. So I was like, there's no way I can do that. So I went and after the show with KJ, I went and formed a new. I went and did made a new YouTube channel because my thinking was, I'll just start up a new YouTube channel and then I'll use Jeff Censored to tell everyone I'm over there, and then of course post it on Patreon. The thing is though that it takes up to 24 hours to verify the account, so I don't have that account ready to host a live show. So it's a little bit of a conundrum right now, trying to figure out how I would be able to host a live show. So so what I could do right for now is at least talk to you guys through the chat and take any questions and any comments you want to say. And then maybe if I can't get this up tonight, I can schedule it for next week and have it all done, which I should have done. It's my fault. I've just I had a busy week. I figured I'll just be able to do it quickly on Friday. And fools rush so I can do a Q&A, absolutely. So I'll just look here because I see a lot of comments here. And hello to everyone. Hi, Zero. Hi, D&D. Tears. Hi, Ian and Rage. And yeah, I think that's everyone so far. And Valar Morgulis. Hey, Jeff, use Zoom. Zoom. Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. 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 What is Zoom? Do I know what that is? I probably do. I'm just drawing a blank. Do you think comedian George Carlin was killed by the NWO? He spoke about our controllers. I don't know. I love George Carlin. I need to say that he's probably my favorite comedian for sure. Um, or I'm not big into comedy because I've been to a lot of stand-up comedy here in Montreal because we have Just for Laughs and all that. So I do appreciate the art, but like out of all the comedians out there, George Carlin was always my favorite because he was no holds barred sort of thing. I don't know the story about his death. He said some incredible things though, eh? You're not in the club and all that. I thought some of that was the best. So, yeah, I would have to check into that. In other words, um, yeah, great job with K. Oh, thank you, Colleen. I really appreciate that. Yeah, KJ and I gotta say this about KJ. I didn't say it on the show, but he was the first like big YouTuber to ever upload one of my videos, like feature me sort of thing. So, you know, um, from the moment I met him online, I've never met him in person, unfortunately. I would love to though. He's always been a real genuine soul kind of thing. I think most people. That's why KJ is so important, right? Because he's genuine. He's there's no act there. He's the real deal. He's been around longer than me in this movement sort of thing, doing this stuff. So, and he reached out to me the other day. We had a huge conversation. And then he's like, "You got to come on. You got to come on." So yeah, apparently, I don't know for sure, but it looks like we're going to do another show next week. So it went over really well. So I'm glad that you guys, if you did catch it, and it's still up there on his channel. So it's The Scariest Movie Ever. It's a great name for a channel. Because I guess maybe we're living in the scariest movie ever. Anyway, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, I apologize for what's on the screen there. It's the guns. George Carlin was 71. Yep. That's not a bad age to make it to. So maybe he died natural. I don't know. I don't know his story, so I'd have to check it out. They said that he had a heart attack, but I think they took him out. There is a heart attack gun, by the way. That was revealed in the 70s. This is true. The CIA have like a heart attack gun. So yeah, when somebody dies of a heart attack, all of a sudden, can be a little bit. I don't know. I wonder. So yeah. So he said he died of a heart attack. It has been so long. Without divulging much info, what would you do for a living besides YouTube? If you can't answer the question, no problem. Oh yeah, no, I mean, YouTube is important, and every cent I make off YouTube pays bills directly. Like that's is very important to me. I'm gonna see if it's possible to maybe monetize or get a super chat going if possible in the future, because they disabled all that with my other channels. So I might check into that. I don't like the idea of ads because, and even KJ, we talked about this quite a bit about the ads, because he was worried, and that's how much he cares, right? That he cares so much that he wants to know exactly what ads are going up, because he doesn't want to have anything that might promote the New World Order or anything like that. Yeah. But anyways, yeah. I've also entertained the thought maybe selling some T-shirts or something like that. I mean, it's just to bring in a little extra income. But yeah, I do have another job, but it's I'm pretty tight with cash, and I'm very frugal. So and but much appreciation to all you folks that support me. So I really appreciate it. I'm trying to like make up, because I didn't, I'm busy in the summer. I don't have too much time to do this, but I'm much more time now. So I'm trying to make up for a lot of it. Hopefully do a lot more live shows, and hopefully hopefully for sure putting up a lot more videos. I've done a lot of videos over the past couple weeks. So anyways, I ramble on. Yeah, we used to do these Q&A with NWA. They were fun. do to enjoy that. Let's see here. John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt says, ever heard of the anime Genlock? It's about downloading your mind into a computer to be able to wear a Gundam suit. It's freaking sick. Like, gross. You know, there's a show that's called The Expanse, I believe. Is that the one? Or no, is it Altered Carbon? Or I get them mixed up. I haven't seen them, and people tell me about them, and then they're like, "Oh, you gotta see this show. It's crazy." I think it's Altered Carbon where people are, or is it? I don't know what. There's a show. Maybe you'll be able to tell me. There's a show in which you download your consciousness, right, into the computer sort of thing. And there's been movies like that. I know there was one with Johnny Depp. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. That obviously this stuff I'm going to be doing a lot of in the future. So let's see here, Jeff. Have you heard about the abortion fetish? Sister of Night, I don't know. Abortion fetish. I mean, they are obviously pushing abortion massively. They're trying to make people. They're trying to make it exotic and flavorable, and they want women to think of abortion as something that's cool and hip, and why not, and make it a nice experience. I think a lot. I've never been to a Planned Parenthood, by the way, so I wouldn't know. But I think a lot of like the presentation, a lot of what is going to sell people on the notion of these things is, you have this well-funded facility with nice people, and it's clean and it's comfortable, and maybe there's a flat screen television and shit when you come in, and maybe they offer you a coffee and a tea or whatever, you never know, some snacks or whatever, and they make you feel at home so that you get to murder your baby, and they try to take that out of the equation sort of thing. Let's see here. Question. What do you think about Beta Beto saying, hell yes, we are going to take your... I didn't hear that innovation. Did you send me that on Twitter? If you could, please do. I really appreciate it. I've always appreciated everything that you send me. For years now, Innovation's been sending me excellent stuff, so I really appreciate it. Great show. Thanks, Cyril. I guess you're referring to the KJ show. I thought it was fantastic. We have a natural chemistry, obviously, and I've known him for a long time, so it's great to connect with him. It's a bit of a different realm because he's more in the Christian area sort of thing, but he's a legit dude. So he's got lots of great stories too. So he's gone through some rough times over the years. He had a heart attack. He had his accident when he was in Guatemala. I don't know if you saw when he was in Guatemala. He had pretty cool. He was like living close to the beach there. He had like in his backyard. He used to go out and feed the monkeys bananas. They would come down. I was so jealous. I was like, oh man, if I could only. Anyways, yeah. So I'm digressing. Let's see here. What's up, Jeff? Do you listen to Higher Side Chats? You'd be a great guest on that show. Yeah, I've heard of the show. Yeah, I never really listened to it. I've heard of it. So, I'd be open to going on shows. I mean, I like going on people's shows as long as they're cool and respectful. They're not like the non sequitur queers who will just throw you off if you say something that they don't want you to say, which at that point in time on non sequitur, I mentioned Sandy Hook. And they were extremely rude, so I don't like those guys at all. But I used to do a lot of shows. Like, I would be on a lot of different shows back in the past. So, I've been around. So, yeah, maybe I'll have to check them out. Maybe you ask them to get me on, and I'll go on for sure. Love seeing you on KJ. Thank you very much, Moderate Extremist. James Gandolfini died a sudden heart attack after The Sopranos ended. He was in Italy at the time. I always thought it was suspicious, even before I woke up. Could be, too. James Gandolfini, from what I know, was a pretty decent guy. He hated his character, Tony Soprano. I'm going to do a whole thing on Sopranos in the future because I believe Sopranos is about destroying the male. I think it's the opposite of what people think it is. I don't think Sopranos is about. I mean, it's tough guys, but they're not really like they're actually extremely weak. And everybody's got serious problems. Every man, the women, yes, but the women are fairly strong in the show. But the show itself, all the men are horribly flawed, and they're all physically flawed. They're either getting cancers. There's always somebody with cancer, which I think is part of your programming. And there's always, and of course, Tony Soprano himself is going to shrink, right? And this would definitely not be, I mean, they nailed, the actors are amazing. The writing is great, right? And they nailed a lot of the elements of the underworld and all that. But at the same time, I doubt there's many mobsters that would ever go to a psychologist or something like that, right? I seriously doubt that, and I think that's part of our programming. So, as good as the show was, I also think the show is dangerous. It's never good to admire or emulate these types of people. I mean, a lot of them were clear psychopaths. I believe Tony Soprano was a psycho, for sure. I mean, at bare minimum, a murderous sociopath. And a false alpha male, like really a weak man, not a strong man. Maybe physically strong, but anyways. So that's something I might look into. How do I get meeting people who are aware IRL? I'm surrounded by sleepers. How do I get about meeting people who are aware? Okay. Well, this is one way. I mean, except you're probably not going to meet these people physically, or most of them. What would be another way? It's very difficult. I think we're all in the same boat, right? Where can we go? Maybe go to a cafe and just start talking to strangers, and you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Here where I am in Montreal, there's a lot of people that are awake. It's it's levels too. I mean, but that's the whole thing. Each one of us only has so much knowledge, and then we bump up against other people who have other knowledge, and you'd be surprised. A lot of people do see what's going on. I think it's more and more apparent. I think more and more people are waking up because it's so obvious what they're doing. It's so quick, the transformation of society. So. Hi, Call. Nice to see you. I have a question. Does queering make the world work? No. Obviously not. I know that's sarcastic. No. Queering does the opposite. In fact, queering takes people out of the equation. One of the things I would love to do is like dress up in hockey gear with a full, helmet and everything, and hold a huge sign saying, "Every single one of you is here because of heterosexuals." March down the street, right? Go against the parade, go the opposite direction, just charge right through it, sort of thing. Of course, I would be completely overwhelmed and beaten down and probably lynched at some point or killed. But that would be a fantasy because all these people need to realize that everyone that's in this pride parade, it's not that everyone, I mean, there's a lot of heterosexuals that go, but the reality is that we're all here because of heterosexuals. That won't be the same in 10, 20 years, though. In 10, 20 years, a lot of people be clones and be grown in the CRISPR and all that. So it'll be a brave new world. Anyways, almost no one wants to hear about it or talk about it. Yeah, I think you're talking about James Gandolfini. Yeah. Let's see here. I have a tendency to get way far behind here. I hope you guys can deal with that. Depend on your definition. Altered carbon, where they have little chips in the neck with their consciousness on it. Have you ever heard of a group called Oculus? Yeah, I've heard. Is it a band? Vortec? Is a band? Oculus. I know there's a band called Tool. I don't know. I stopped listening to popular music back in, I think, 2004 because I was, like, the last time I listened to contemporary music was when Napster was at its peak, and I was downloading everything. Holy moly macaroni, did I download, I had gazillions of CDs burned with MP3s. I still do, because I was like, I'm gonna get everything I can, So I actually would do this every week. I would do a different genre. So one week would be jazz, and the next week would be blues, and next week would be, rock and roll, or, funk, and I would just download everything I could find, because I was like, as soon as this is gone, it's going to be a different thing. So that's when I stopped listening to contemporary music, and I do my best to avoid the radio. Usually if I'm driving, I got the radio on, I'll put on, sometimes I put on radio just to listen to what the talk radio is talking about, and sometimes I'll listen to jazz or classical music. I try to avoid the rock and roll and all that, because I know how much of it is just horrible New World Order programming, and yet it's music is so close to my heart. So anyways, where are we here? It'd be cool if you, Really Graceful Camille, and other small channels collaborate with Call for an Uprising to do a show. We've done shows together. Maybe not Camille, because she's a little bit newer around. I'm definitely going to be doing stuff with Camille, and Grace, and Call. Absolutely. I've done a lot of shows with Call. I've done several shows with Grace, well, quite a few, especially in the past. And I've done some shows with Camille. They're all great content providers and smart people and very colorful personalities. So it's a lot of fun to collaborate with any of them, any and all. So yeah, great people. Okay, you can't do better, really. Psycho mass mandatory happiness. Yeah, depending on your definition of work. High fives from Copenhagen. Hey, Copenhagen, beautiful. Wonderful. Never been to Denmark, but I've always wanted to just check out Copenhagen. It's all of Europe, but Copenhagen's special for sure. Altered Carbon, they have little chips in their neck and with their consciousness in it. That's it. That's the one I'm thinking about. Jeff, how do you feel about Titus Frost and Zachary Hubbard? No comment. Jeff, did you see my statement on Agenda 2030 poop progging? I saw one of them recently, which was really good. It wasn't that one. So I know you sent me. I don't always have time to check everything out. So love your post. They're awesome. Vanonymous, for sure. I'll definitely check them out. Thanks so much, and keep up the good work. Really appreciate it. I don't know any women who go to Planned Parenthood for women checkups. Good. That's a good thing, Misty, because that means the people that you're around. Well, I don't know if that's meaning something else. I'm just assuming maybe you're saying that people around you avoid Planned Parenthood, and if that's the case, then good for them. That's smart. Couples are getting pregnant and aborting the baby for fun. It's really disturbing. That is murder. I mean, I think, look, I'm in favor of abortion if it's rape, because that's the woman has no choice. So you shouldn't, and then the woman has to carry that burden for the rest of her life. That's not fair, in my opinion. Although I know, and I understand people that would be against that. So, and I know Christians probably for the most part would be against that, because all life is sacred. So I do agree with that. And I do think that some of these women that might have been raped might actually have a wonderful child and all that. But then again, I don't think that's fair. So I think in cases like that, abortion should be granted. So I am in favor of abortion in certain cases. But I think for most people, it's hard enough to get pregnant these days. It's crazy, right? I mean, the sperm rates are down 60% in men. Women fertility is way down. And yet people are murdering babies. It's just lunacy. Depopulation. So, it's a lot of that. Have you heard of the Operation Blackout? The CIA is training white supremacist militants to kill all people who oppose white hegemony. I don't know about that. CIA is training white supremacist militants. No, I don't. I've never heard of that. Sorry, Larez. I'm skeptical. I watched a show called The 100 this past season. The storyline was about brain chips transferring someone's consciousness into someone else's. Yeah, it's freaking coding. You know what? I'm gonna take 2 seconds here, so hang in, folks. I have to fill up my water here and take a squirt, so I'll be just 2 seconds. Okay, I'm back here. Um, just a quick update for anybody listening. I've had some technical snafus dealing with hosting Jeff C. and friends, so it probably looks like it won't happen tonight. That's why I'm doing this live right now. But I will have it up and running, and I'll have it 100% for next week. So we'll definitely reschedule this, and I'll try to do multiple shows to try to make up for some of the time I missed over the summer. Some of it was just too busy and not having the time to do it, and other was, of course, the problem with Google Hangouts being terminated, which caught me off guard. Like, they just all of a sudden, and then I found out like the day after it happened. I was like, and I had a show scheduled, and I was like, what? Why did they do that? And they're gonna replace it with something else. But I mean, they're so stupid. They got rid of it, and then they don't have the replacement ready. And they said, oh no, something's coming next year. You know, it's like, why? I don't know. You can speculate. So what I want to do here, just for 1 second here, is this on? I think it's on Jeff C. and Friends. So I wanted to post on my my Patreon here, just to let people know that I am live, just in case there's folks there waiting, because some people may not know. Live stream here. I gotta look now. I gotta do a YouTube search here. Hang on. How do I open YouTube here? I'm gonna open YouTube, and I'm gonna put. Oh, there it is. Jeff Censor Live. Okay, so it is Jeff Censor Live here, because just in case you're listening here, I'm I had to set this up. Oh, it was a mess. Anyways, live right now here, and I'll just publish that for everyone there, so people can come in and see. Okay, where were we here? I'm in the zone here. I'm not on the typically when I do these, I'm looking at the actual live feed, but this is actually the studio sort of thing here that they have, which is kind of new. So that's how I'm doing it. Anyways, I get back to your questions here. I watched a show called The 100. Okay, we saw that one. I saw Bill Burr do a bit about how he thinks they are about ready to microchip us all. I feel like there's a lot of comedians that drop hints and exposing truth. I think a lot of these people are worried too. Like I don't believe I don't think everyone's in the club, and if they're in the club, they're not. There's different levels. We all know that, right? I don't have to tell people that. So I think a lot of these comedians and actors, I think the big ones, the A-listers, the Ben Afflecks and the Brad Pitts and Angelina Jolies and all those characters are in the higher club, and they know probably a lot more. But I think some of some of the comedians, maybe somebody like Bill Burr is just a guy, he's a comedian. He made some deals, obviously, but probably doesn't realize the extent that stuff is going. And I think they're probably freaking out too. I saw some of Bill Burr on Joe Roganstein there. And, I kind of like him. I mean, he's kind of funny, the guy. I like he's a bit more like George Carlin, his thing. Um, but you get the feeling that there's some concern amongst a lot of these people that this shit is going down. Like they were talking about how, like, even Joe Rogan was saying, I'm worried about these apps because somebody trying to give me a CD, and then next thing you know they're saying swipe your phone here, and then all of a sudden and he's like, I don't know, did they just get access to my phone? I mean, I don't understand what just happened, sort of thing. And that's, I think, a lot of popular people are just useful idiots. Even Joe Rogan, to a certain extent, has no idea of the extent of what's going on. By the way, I have a Joe Rogan story. He knows of me, by the way. He blocked me on Twitter. And he's talked, I'm pretty sure he didn't specifically name me, but years back when I called him out, I made a bunch of videos on Joe Rogan. I was really slamming him. This is when he blocked me. And he talked about it on several podcasts, and he said there's this guy that was coming after me making videos, and and stupidly I started watching his videos, and I started looking through his feed, and I was looking at everyone he was following, and I go back week after week, and I'm going, what is this guy doing, and all this. And then, finally I came to my senses and I just blocked him. So that I have a feeling that's probably me. So, because I used to call him out and then I would tweet him directly. Because I wanted him to know. I wanted him to know what I thought about him. Because I think it's bad to be in a situation like Joe Rogan and taking deals, because he's got such an influence. I mean, the guy is arguably one of the most influential people in the world right now. His podcast is the biggest podcast in the world. So, and he's featuring shills. Like, I mean, they're going out of style. That guy I put on the other day who had the that creepy guy. Not sure the tribe, but he's the anti-aging guy, and they were talking about cannibalism, and the way that they telegraphed it was ludicrous. It was like, oh, it was so obvious. It was so obvious. That they set that conversation up. So, anyways, yeah, let's keep going here. Calling, tell me about it. That's not for me. Yeah, Titus Brockton. Yeah, I'm not gonna look. Just for people to know this, I will not engage ever again in YouTube drama. I ignore it and I avoid it like the plague. And in the past, I used to call out people. I still do sometimes, but it's not my thing because it never works. It never leads to anything positive. So I have, I obviously have reservations about certain people in the truth movement, and I could definitely expose people but that would be a waste of my time, and it'd be a waste of your time because there's far more important things going on. Use your discernment. If you think somebody is honest and giving you good information, well then that's probably a good channel for you. But if you're if you think people are misleading you, then you probably want to avoid those people, because there's a lot of agents in this movement, a lot. Flat Earth is a perfect example. It's a massive operation. You got Mark Sargent now doing commercials on television, which is no surprise whatsoever. And I called all those people out years ago, when the whole Flat Earth thing took off. That was like late 2014, early 2015 when it started. I remember I was there from day one. So just in case anybody doesn't know about it, I know exactly where Flat Earth came from. So, it's not like it's organic. Let's just put it that way. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. No Flat Earth talk. Aborted fetus is a flavor enhancer they use in Pepsi. I don't know if you can corroborate that. I wonder what's in our foods. I wonder what's in our fast foods more than anything. I'm not like Rabbi Abe Finkelstein or whatever, who's claiming that McDonald's is human meat. It's possible, though. I mean, it's possible that because there's so many chemicals and spices in a patty. You'd be hard pressed. You would be surprised, maybe. But then again, that's where, if you have a lab or that would be the place. You'd have to do science, because you just can't go by somebody's word on YouTube that's what they're doing. But this is why we need independent people with the wherewithal to be able, and the academic credentials to be able to properly analyze these things and determine if there is any. I want to know all the time. In fact, I would say that a good functioning society would have people testing everything all the time. Always testing stuff to see if there's anything fishy in there, to see what they can find, because we just can't put our trust in these corporations at all. And these Memphis meats, these Impossible Burgers, they're popping up everywhere. This is what I want to do a big show. So I'm going to get Camille on and a few other people, and we're going to do a big show on this real soon, because it's very important. It's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. And it's all being tied with the cannibalism and the, plant-based this and global warming, climate change. Of course, it's not called global warming anymore. It's climate change. But yeah, I am very, very, very concerned about what's in the meats. Very concerned. So it wouldn't shock me if there was, a revelation. It came out, scientists found human meat in Big Mac. I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked. Would that be the end of McDonald's? They'd probably have an excuse. They'd be like, oh, those burgers were contaminated. Anyways, but if they're using shit like that, it wouldn't shock me. But I can't really, I think it's very difficult for somebody to make that claim without providing evidence. It's very important that we do provide evidence when we make claims like that, because otherwise we're just feeding into the disinfo, and then we're just helping push people. There was a comment. I should talk about this for a second. I'll just talk about it briefly, because there was somebody who keeps leaving this comment over and over again about a false flag happening or some major event happening that's going to destroy Seattle in I think November or something like that. And they keep telling me, please watch this video, please watch this video, please watch it. And they're leaving hundreds, I don't know, dozens of comments. And I finally told them, just please don't post that over and over again. All right, I've heard this a million times. Don't get me wrong. Maybe you're sincere and maybe you really believe that. And then if you are, then I understand what you're doing. I understand that, because you want to wake people up if you're convinced. But these things have been done so many times before. So it's unlikely, even if you knew something was going to go down and you knew 100%, most people would never believe you. And then the event would happen, and then you'd be able to say, well, look, I told people, I put up videos, I did this, I did that. So then people would listen to you in the future. So, if something did go down, that's the only way that, but chances are nothing will go down, and chances are you'll never be able to really predict the next 9/11. That's and I understand this too, because when we look back and we see all the predictive programming for 9/11, we're like, well, holy cow, it was everywhere. But there's so many movies and videos and shows and books and everything that have so many dates and places and all this stuff. So, yeah, it's probably in there. What I guarantee you, when the next thing, again, never want anything to happen ever again. I hope we live long, boring lives. But the next one does happen, there will be, you can bet your bottom dollar there will be a shit ton of predictive programming that will come out. But you'll be very hard pressed to be able to properly 100% predict it. You'd be very hard pressed, and you're more likely to get it wrong than right. Way more likely. So anyways, that's just what I say about that. The hurricane just came through, made us lose power, and made me realize how fast society would fall apart with it. Yeah, like that. Your grocery store shelves would be empty in hours. If people knew. It depends if people knew. So say an EMP, for instance, which, say a massive EMP hit North America, wiped out the electrical grid. If people knew, it might take people a little bit of time, but if people were to put it together, because you would have no contact, right? Nothing would work. Cars, trains, nothing. Planes would fall out of the sky. Cars would stop in their tracks. Trains would stop. Everything would stop, because all the transistors would be fried. And this could be a solar flare as well, right? There's a lot of different supernova. There's different things that could cause this to happen. The Carrington event of 1853 or something. I'm not sure the exact date, but that was the last time we had one of those massive solar flares, and it would have wiped out pretty much the entire electrical grid. This would take years potentially in some places to get back up. Now there's still people in the Bahamas is destroyed, right? It's destroyed. Well, the two of the islands are absolutely, and they're getting hit again right now. It's just awful. My heart goes out to all those people. I mean, they lived in paradise. Now they're living in hell. It's all ruined. But that's more extreme, right? But yeah, if the power did go out, if the electrical grid went out, it would be bad. It would be really bad. And probably most people would die within the first few weeks because there would be so much murder and theft and just because people would lose it. I mean, you're going to feed your family, right? When your family's starving, that's when you're going to do whatever it takes, which means, your neighbor's no longer your friend, sort of thing. And that would happen quickly. So that's why strong communities are very important, because really it would take people coming together and conserving, and you'd have to take steps back. You'd be, it'd be like stepping back 200 years, basically, right? The 1850s. Like literally, you'd be back. You'd need to know how to plow the fields and plant the corn. Domesticate the animals, and you'd have to learn how to milk the cows and everything else, because there'd be nothing there, right? So yeah, it would be bad. So that is a given, and that's why it's important for people to keep a good stock of food if they can, and learn to live off the grid, learn to hunt, learn to fish, learn to collect, and know the seasons, know what grows, where it grows, how to track game, all those things, trapping, all those things. Anyways, I'm just gonna talk forever on this. Thanks for the update. The hurricane went through Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. It hit Nova Scotia pretty hard. It's pretty bad. They got hit pretty much dead on. It wasn't Category 5 or anything. It was more like a tropical storm, but it doesn't matter. There was 100-foot waves, by the way, that hit Newfoundland. 100-foot. That's what they're saying. The buoys there on the coast picked up 100-foot waves. Could you imagine? Just walking on the coast when there's giant wave. That'd be pretty scary. Rogue waves. Anyways, Jeff, do you think Adam Green and David Gold? What do you think of Adam Green and David Goldberg's final words? Where was that? I'm trying to get back up to it. Boy, I'm really far behind. I hope you guys are having a good conversation amongst yourselves. I'm really far behind. I don't know. People ask me about Adam Green. I am concerned. ADL released a list of the top anti-Semitic channels. Some interesting names up there. They had the top 5. One of the top 5 was a channel that had 3,000 subs. E. Michael Jones was one of them. Pastor Sanderson was another. And then they had another 20 or so. People like Faith J. Goldie, and they had, what did they have? I think they had Red Ice Radio. There was no Adam Green, though. Just like, I don't know. Either the ADL is extremely incompetent or something else going on. So, I don't know. I think it's a mistake to blame everything on one tribe. I think there's a lot more going on. But I think there's one tribe that has an incredible amount of power. But I think they're working in cahoots with many other secret societies. So that's what I would say. So it could be something else. I don't know. I don't want to ever make mistakes and label people and mislabel people or get people wrong or call out people unless I'm absolutely certain. So I don't do that. So you have to use your own discernment. Please don't ask me. I can't make up, Anyways, I don't know the other person you mentioned. Jeff, if you allow abortion in cases of rape, these women that want to murder children will just make up. Yeah, that's true. But then you'd have to prove it. So let's say, in my case, the way I would say is that they would have to be proven. It would have to be proven that they were raped. So how do you prove that there's a rape? Well, it's not fun for women, right? They have to they report first. The police do the report, or the police come, and then there is I guess a gynecologist that would come in and examine the women to determine, if the woman has been raped. And I think, if a woman's been raped, you'd be able to tell. There's bruises and there'd be signs of a struggle. So, but then could you theoretically fake that stuff? Maybe. I don't know. But you have to just allow me, please feel free to disagree. And if you do disagree, it's just one of those things that, you're going to have your opinion, I'm going to have mine, and that's all it is, right? I mean, at the end of the day, there's no real right or wrong when it comes to it. Maybe it's complicated, maybe in some cases it would be a form of murder. In other cases, it would be cruel to force a woman to go through and raise a child and go through the pregnancy and having a baby, which is the most painful thing ever. And, all of that. Anyways, I don't want to get, but I appreciate that point of view. Drinking all Pepsi and Mountain Dew. You know what's in Mountain Dew, by the way? Brominated vegetable oil, which is banned in the EU and in Japan and many countries around the world. Brominated vegetable oil is a very toxic chemical. It's very, very it rots your teeth and rots your insides. So really, Mountain Dew, don't drink the carbonated citrus beverages unless it's like Orangina. So Orangina is a good example of, I'm not going to endorse Orangina because I don't know what's going in it. But I'm saying, when you get Orangina and it's like you have to shake it up, or maybe you don't have to shake it up, but you have to turn it upside down or whatever, because all the citrus separates from the rest of the juice that's there and sinks to the bottom. The brominated vegetable oil, they claim, is used, and it is to a certain extent, to prevent that from happening, so that the citrus molecules do not separate themselves from the rest of the beverage, sort of thing. So my advice to anybody out there is, do not drink citrus soft drinks, because they're very toxic. They should be banned. There's no doubt about it. I've done several videos in the past on Mountain Dew and Mountain Dew Mouth. Check that out. Google that. Hey, Jamie, bring that up. Mountain Dew Mouth. Bring it up. Jamie. Yeah. They're also making the cost of having children unaffordable. Yes, absolutely. That's all the perfect storm. Kind of like, if you've ever seen the Protocols of the Elders of a certain, to say the Protocols of a certain tribe, a lot of different methods that combine to create the conditions that they believe are best for the type of society that potentially they want to bring about. So if you can delay the onset of marriage, it's like Bill Gates. Now, if we can just make women stop wanting to have babies, or we can push the average woman having a baby back to, say, the age of 30, and at the same time, if we can make it so expensive to buy a home, and we can raise the price of tuition so that people come out of university saddled with massive debts, and we can raise the price of automobiles, then we make it so that it is almost impossible. This is exactly how they think, by the way. There's no doubt about it. So in many ways, the price of housing, the price of student tuition, and so many other factors have led to the rapid decline in people having families and the size of the families. So when I was a kid, the average family had like 3. And before that, it was, the baby boomers was like 4 or 5, if you go back. the baby boomer generation, the yuppie generation, had much more kids, and now it's 1.5, I think. Anyways, so it's crazy. When I hear people say they love their Pepsi, it makes me want to vomit. Yeah, good for you. I really don't remember the last time I had a soda. Yeah, that's great. That is excellent. You ever heard the song? Might as well go for soda. Nobody hurts. Nobody dies. That's Kim Mitchell. Might as well go for soda, which is supposed to be a song about don't drink and drive kind of thing, which you can kind of appreciate those sentiments. Kim Mitchell is a Canadian guy. He wears a baseball cap. He has long hair. He's bald. And he's kind of dorky looking, but he had a few hits. And yeah, that song Might As Well Go for a Soda was like, don't drink and drive. I appreciate that, though. I mean, I think it's actually a pretty cool song. It's got a great guitar riff to it. Uses the wah-wah. Anyways, but I don't think you should go for a soda. You might as well go for a glass of water. How about that? Or something like freshly squeezed juice, something healthy. Then go for a soda. Sodas are bad for you. They're very bad for you. Let's be honest. I don't think one once in a while is going to hurt you. Although some people would argue and disagree. I really don't think. I really think that, like I always tell people, like the philosophy of like, you don't, like you have cotton candy when you go to the fair. You don't buy a cotton candy machine for your home. Because if you do that, then you're not going to be a healthy person. So, it's like there's a time and a place to indulge in certain things. So, it's like me having, let's say, a hamburger or hot dogs or something like that. Yeah, in the summertime, you work hard, you're, taking it easy with your buddies, having some brews. Yeah, that's the time to have burgers and stuff like that. Just don't have them every night. Anyways, Jeff is taking a slash. Is that when? Jeff, how many truthers are not making families? Probably as many as people that just normal people. I think that a lot of us are afraid to make families because we think that there's no hope. But I also think a lot of normal people are not having families because they've been programmed by their media into not having them. Your movies and your television has been telling you for decades not to have families. For decades. Absolutely. I mentioned a few, like, 3 men and a baby and, 2.5 Men, family, what is it? Party of 5. There's all these shows, Different Strokes. You can go through the list of all these shows of broken families that became the norm. And then, like, I give the example of like, I don't think I've ever seen a movie with The Rock, but I've seen, like, slices, and I've seen trailers. And from what I can gather, there's probably not a movie with The Rock, the guy, the new sort of alpha sort of guy. There's probably not a movie that exists where he's in a cohesive family, like a family that hasn't been broken and stuff like that. And I think that's the same for every blockbuster movie that is out there. And I think that's been like that for decades. And I think they weave this in, that there's no normal monogamous and there's no happy families. There was shows that used to exist, like way back, even before my time. Like we used to see the reruns, right? Like there was a show called The Waltons. There was another one called Little House on the Prairie. There were different shows way back when. Then there was stuff like Leave It to Beaver and a bunch of shows in the 50s that focused around a cohesive family. The family would have problems and all that, but it was a cohesive family. And the mother was the mother and, staying at home, raising the kids. The father was out working, coming home. And that's all been changed. Women no longer stay at home, which is a travesty. It's awful because women should be at home raising the kids. in my opinion, unless they don't want to be. And then I say this to women out there is like, yeah, you can be whatever you want to be, and women could be as good as men at almost anything except physical things. So women shouldn't strive to be lumberjacks and firemen and stuff like that because, even policemen. I don't think women should be policemen because they're not physically strong enough. I mean, what are you gonna do if you're in a bar? You show up at a bar and you're a female cop. I've seen this a million times. I've been in a lot of street brawls and bar brawls and stuff in my day, back in the days when I was a young strapping buck. And a female cop would stand no chance. Doesn't matter how much training you have. You think you'd stand a chance against a 200-pound guy, like a football player? I mean, you just fucking break your back. I mean, it's just physics. That's all it is. It's physics, right? So anyways. I was looking into adding caffeine to normal drinks, say fruit. Haven't looked through it. Nah, I don't think. Well, I drink coffee every day, so I can't say anything bad about caffeine. But aborted fetus flavors enhancer they used in Pepsi. Yeah, I heard that on Leak Project. Not sure about that. Good show this afternoon. Scariest movie ever. Thank you very much, Barbara from hell. Barbara from. I just got it. Barbara from David Frum. You know the Frums? They're David Frum was the advisor to George W. Bush. He was the son of Barbara Frum. I believe that's Barbara Frum, who was the CBC News propagandist. David Frum was the guy that came up with the slogan, "Axis of Evil." That infamous now, I guess, slogan, "Axis of Evil," which was, of course, at the time, Iraq, Iran, and North Korea, and there was a few other ones. I think there was the Troika, really. But anyways, question, have you looked into the Sabati Zevi and his cult started in 1966? No, innovation, have not. I've heard of it before. The hurricane just came through, made us lose power, and made me realize, okay, I'm way behind, probably like an hour behind now. Did you see Corbett Report's new videos on 9/11? They're pretty good. No, I haven't. I gotta check them out. I know James too, so I'm indebted to James. I interviewed him years back on Free Radio Revolution, and James, I think, has done some phenomenal work. So he's important. What do you think about Adam Green and David Goldberg's final words? Yeah, I kind of answered the Adam Green thing. David Goldberg, not sure about that. People on the 10th floor joking about people on the 11th floor. R.I.P. George Carlin, I agree. Some friends I had to push back from, they were saying you people were phobic for rejecting them if they hit on you. So I said, my body, my rules. I wouldn't back down. Okay. I don't know if that's dealing with the abortion and all that. I can't stand Toe Rogan. Yeah, but, midgets need to be represented too. Joe Rogan's like 5'4" or something like that. He'd still kick my ass though, because he knows jiu-jitsu. It's only gay if you make eye contact, Joe. No, I appreciate jiu-jitsu. Don't get me wrong. One time I made fun of jiu-jitsu and people were getting on me. I think martial arts are excellent. I do. But I wouldn't want to roll around on the floor with men all day. With women, yeah, maybe Paige Van Zandt. Yeah, okay. Anyways, have you where am I? Jeff, the Elon Musk video saying people need to have babies. The video was shared by the New Zealand shooter. That's how I found it. Oh, wow. That's crazy, eh? So maybe it is part of an elaborate psyop. I don't know how much. I suspect Elon Musk already has the brain chip. The way that his body language is computer-like. It's like he's an android. Especially when he's on the Joe Rogan show. And I don't buy that he's some genius. I don't think he's all that smart. I just don't buy it, right? I see him as an actor. But then again, I do agree with what he said there. I totally agree with what he said. He basically was saying that white people are going to be are going to be extinct in a couple generations because nobody's having babies. So, but this goes for black people too. I mean, this everybody in North America. Well, let's say Muslims are, they're putting out kids like like here in Montreal, Muslim families are the biggest families by far. Good for them too, It's like they're living life the way people supposed to live it. Or maybe I'm not here to endorse Islam or anything like that, but I'm just saying have a lot of kids and be fruitful and all that. That's human nature, that's animal nature, that's plant nature, that's what we are. But the rest of us are not reproducing, and that's all orchestrated. So, and he's right. The fertility rates are way down. It's horrible. It's probably the biggest cover-up that is existing right now, and they're masking it with all the immigration. So, drama is a distraction. Totally agree. That's why shills always show up to derail people from discussions. I agree, 100%. Jeff, it's good for you to sorry about the burp there. It's good for you to expose people so we stop believing people who lead us astray. Well, it's not my job, and I used to do it a lot, and I can't do it, and I can't do it no more. I ain't gonna do it no more. I'm not gonna go and slander people that are doing bad work or call out people. I don't want to be involved in any drama whatsoever. I don't want and as I said, I can get people wrong. I could be wrong about things. I know there's a shit ton of shills. I see them all the time. I see people bullshitting left, right, and center. I see a lot of fishy things. But it's not my job to expose that. That's not what I'm about. I'm here to expose the New World Order. And, like lift the veil. I could expose that guy 100 different ways and, make his life or make his career a little bit difficult. But it would be a waste of my time. It would be a waste of your time. And what is it accomplishing? I tried to expose the Flat Earth operation so I could stop it from destroying the truth movement, and it didn't work. So it was futile. I mean, it's one guy against several hundred agents, in my opinion. Well, maybe not that many, but there's a lot. And as I say with the Flat Earth, it's not just the Flat Earthers, the people playing the Flat Earthers, who are most definitely, for the most part, not Flat Earthers. It's also the debunkers. They're also shills. They just shill the other side, and then they reinforce that there is no lies and there are no conspiracies, and conspiracy theories are terrible people and idiots, and so they contribute. So it's a nasty web. So the best thing is just to stay away from it all. And you can't stop people from following what they're going to follow. You can't stop people from, if somebody wants to jump off a bridge, they're going to jump off a bridge. Somebody wants to subscribe to Jaredism, they're going to subscribe to Jaredism. I feel sorry for the lack of intelligence that person might have, but, there's no hope. I'm not going to help them. Anyways, that's well said, Tears. I agree. You're very astute with that. I think the first video I saw of yours was Free Radio Television about PK Subban being called racist slurs by Bruins fans. That was back in 2012. Yeah, I don't even remember that one. I can't remember what I said. I think PK Subban is being used these days. I think the Lindsey Vonn PK Subban thing is I wouldn't know if it's totally fake, but they are like a major celebrity couple. I like PK. He's an excellent. Well, he's a really good hockey player. He's a colorful personality. I'd probably hate him if I was in the locker room with him because he rubs people. He's just got a big ego. He's got a big mouth. He's kind of like a bit of a narcissist. So like his teammates typically don't like him, and he's been shuffled off to a couple teams now. But I kind of like him. He's very exciting, and he's funny, in the media and all that. But his relationship with Lindsey Vonn just strikes me as like a publicity sort of interracial thing that is being pushed everywhere, because they're like the big celebrity sports couple these days, and they turn up everywhere. Are they happily together and all that? I don't know. Maybe they're just playing a role. It just seems that way. I don't know. I'm skeptical. Let's just call me a PK Vonn or PK Vonn. Yeah, PK Vonn skeptic. I think there could be some fishy stuff going on there. But maybe not. Maybe it's just a real thing, and good for them. If I hope they're happy. Um, David Sinclair on Joe Rogan. Yeah, the vampire. Yeah, exactly. That guy freaks me out. He's creepy. Creepy. He's creepy. His mannerisms are creepy. Like, you can tell when somebody is just not a genuine person. Like KJ, you can tell a total genuine person. This guy, this Sinclair person, good Lord, he rubs me. He scares me. He's like, well, he doesn't scare me in the sense that I would be afraid of him, but he's creepy looking. And the way that he was giggling and smiling, talking about cannibalism and eating your relatives. Nah, sorry, dude, you're creepy. So thank you for that, Finn. I'm glad you like the KJ Osborne show. What do you think the 2020 puppet in chief? I have theory that it's going to be Marianne Williamson, because she's tribe and she is the opposite of what. I mean, her whole thing is so ridiculous. I'm here to spread love, not hate. I'm here to bring diversity. It's all. So I have a feeling that she might be the next one coming in, and then it would just be exactly the same. It'd be complete. Everyone on the right would hate her guts, and then people would be called anti-Semites if we get there. Hope so. Good Lord. Anyways, yeah, that's gonna be a whole. I'm gonna avoid that thing like the bubonic plague. The whole presidential thing, which the last presidential election, you saw a lot of shills come out of the woodwork. All these people all of a sudden became Trump. Trump was going to take down the New World Order. Yeah, that really happened. Anyways, yeah. I recently bought a Bible. I never thought I wouldn't say this, just seeing so many things science. I think anyone I know would mock me for saying that. No, why? I think it's important to read the Bible. Absolutely. Why not? Why wouldn't you read it? It's one of the most important books out there. Shares a lot of great things, and maybe you'll find that that's your calling. Enough of this twaddle. Hey, nice to see you, buddy. The best thing is not to drink Pepsi. Extreme Narcissism TV, Man Without Pop Culture. I like that name. The compound is called HEC 293. I think with how far crazy the left has gone, Trump will win. I'm just guessing. Yeah, they might keep him in for another term, but it's a selection. That's my belief. Watch Grace's video. It's pretty amazing. GMO Children of the Corn. Children of the Corn is a movie I gotta talk about at some point in time. I read the book, which is only like 12 pages or something. It's out of one of his compilations. Stephen King is a lunatic. His books are they're almost terrible in many ways. I have to agree with the Red Letter Media guys, because they're talking about it, the book, and they keep showing cocaine. It's like, yeah, Stephen King is and he's creepy as fuck. If you didn't read the book they don't show it, but after they kill or they defeat Pennywise, they all rape, or they all have gang sex. I mean, they have sex with the girl one after another, each of the boys. It's so bizarre. It's like 12-year-olds. What the hell? I like some of Stephen King's. A lot of people think, The Shining's more Kubrick than it is King. The book is not nearly as cohesive and powerful as the film. The film is much better in many ways than the book. Pet Sematary is pretty good. I think Salem's Lot probably my favorite. I read all the early ones. But yeah, I think Stephen King is pretty nuts. I don't know. I think a lot of what he wrote would not fly today. He had a real thing about religious. If you've ever read the book Carrie, or seen the movie, which is actually pretty well done. It's pretty close to the book, with Sissy Spacek, I think. He gives you an idea of Stephen King's bias against Christianity, and how he would always have Jesus freaks in every one of his books. and so he was not a big fan of Christianity. I'll tell you that. So that's probably why he's so successful. Tribe like him. I think a much better horror author would be H.P. Lovecraft. Much better, infinitely better, way better prose. Although he comes from a different era, and he was racist, and he had a lot of creepy things about him, but he was a phenomenal writer. And people are still adapting his books into movies and all that. The Cthulhu mythos, of course, and a lot of people there's a lot of speculation. I mean, the whole Stranger Things is kind of based on the Cthulhu mythos about different dimensions coming together, right? Like that there's these creatures that once inhabited the earth, but they're in a different dimension, and there's ways to bring them back and all that. Anyways, that's a whole thing. I'm a big fan of H.P. Lovecraft's writing. If you want to read creepy horror books, check out Lovecraft. And Edgar Allan Poe, and some of the more classic horror writers are far better, in my opinion. I used to read a lot, so yeah. Anyways, about 2 decades behind the list here. Trump is going to win again. The other side's going to go crazy for the general population. I bet they find no meat at all in the burgers. Hello, everyone. Thanks for the great show. I agree, KJ. It was awesome. Trump is doing a good job being the mean white man, the misogynist, racist, orange ogre, right? The white privileged douchebag. Yeah, he's playing the role to perfection. And when I'm saying perfection, I'm making the 666 because that's what he does, right? I say. How much poo in the burger? Let's see. Actually, a study found a large amount of certain brands of processed meats consistently contains human DNA. Saw that in the news and disappeared off the internet. Some people are saying that 5G might be fear porn distraction. Do you think that might be the case? No, I do not, because I think that there's so much evidence coming forth that 5G is going to be bad for people, and I also think that we definitely don't need faster internet. We definitely don't need these things, and I don't think it's going to benefit us all. I liken it to Melinda Gates, who is a demon from the deepest pits of hell. Certifiable. You can take that to the bank. Melinda Gates talking about how women in Africa are underprivileged because they don't have smartphones. And then the person interviewing her says, well, what will smartphones give them? And she says, well, it will give them the ability to surf or search the internet privately. You look at these women in Africa who are out, they're raising families, they're having tons of babies, they're out in the sunshine, they're growing crops, they're collecting water, they've got beautiful, bright colored clothes. I'm sure they're going to be a lot better stuck inside a box, hooked up to their mind control, watching Game of Thrones and all their mind control, right? Yeah, that's going to make them happier. Whatever. Anyways. But it's an interesting point, though. I do think that they can spin certain conspiracies to and exploit them. So maybe 5G isn't as bad as people are making it out to be, and then maybe they can just say, well, let's make 5G, make it look like it's horrible, But I really, when I see the towers and how powerful the internet signal will be, it's very concerning. Very concerning. So I would say that I'm very concerned about 5G. I'm so concerned about 5G, I want to get out of the city. That's how concerned I am about it. So regular contamination would be with people hypnotized in Trump cult, they can pass more horrible laws they want passed because conservative people are asleep at the wheel. Yes. Good stuff. Yeah. Jeff, have you seen the description of the latest Billie Eilish? I know how to pronounce it now. Video. Good girls go to hell. Yes, I covered it. Check out Jeff Censored. It's on there. No name. What that Seattle thing came from? Interesting connections from creepy Simpsons. Yeah, like it could be. You know, I mean, look, it could be that it happens. Absolutely, but it's more likely it's not. Just based on my experience. How many things do you think have been? How many different places in The Simpsons have been covered and had numbers and slogans and whatever else thrown in there? For every Simpsons episode. So it's kind of like I don't know. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack, right? It literally is. You're gonna find a lot of pieces of hay, and you're gonna think they're needles. My experience leads me to believe that 99.9999% of the time, these predictions never amount to anything. So I would say it's better not to cry wolf unless you're absolutely certain. If you're absolutely certain, then I understand. I understand why you would, because you believe it, and that's why I'm sympathetic towards people that would come out. I don't want to mistreat people because I think maybe their intentions are good. But nonetheless, experience is a healthy or helpful tool in any sort of situation. I have quite a bit of experience with those types of predictions. I can tell you, going back, how many times people say, "Oh, September 23rd, October 21st, December this." You can't imagine. You can't imagine. It used to be the Dabu 7 special sort of thing, where it's like something's gonna go down on this day. Yeah. What do you? Whoa! I'm way back. I'm so far behind. Oh man. I'm just gonna go somewhere here where doesn't hurt to try to predict next 9/11. Though Georgia Guidestone's 6+ billion of us they want dead, all for Israel. It's not just Israel. It's many different secret societies that are all in cahoots together. Yeah, the Georgia Guidestones is creepy as fuck. But it could also be fear porn. It's probably not, though. I mean, if you were to ask me, I think, well, they've got major plans to exterminate the population, but they are already depopulating us. I mean, it's already happening. So the question is, are they gonna create some major catastrophes? Is something catastrophic going to happen? Do they know of something that might happen? Talked about asteroids. What if they know that an asteroid's going to hit? Because they can predict these things like 10 years ahead, sort of thing. So they know, like, this asteroid's going to pass within, 900 kilometers of the Earth's atmosphere, and in 20 or 30 something. So maybe they know of something that's going to hit, and they know when it's going to hit, and maybe it's something that is not a doomsday asteroid, but more of a major fuck up asteroid. And then they're just like, yeah, we'll use this. That's a possibility. So it might be part of the flat Earth psyop might be to get you to reinvest in NASA, right? So that you don't think NASA would ever bullshit about shit, right? So that's a possibility. I speculate on those things because I do keep abreast with a lot of those types of stories. Done quite a bit of research into asteroids and stuff like that. And we had one that hit back in Chelyabinsk back in like 2014 or something like that. And it was like, whoa, what the hell? So, yeah, that's something I speculate about, that they know of something. And if they did know, maybe they would just let it happen so they could use it, right? Possible. But anyways, that's stupid. You don't want to think about that, because what's the point, right? Because you're not going to be able to do anything, and you're not going to know, and then you're just going to live in fear. And then best to live your life and enjoy your life, and live it like each day is your, maybe not like each day is your last. It's not a good way to think of it, but to enjoy each day and to be fruitful and enjoy life, because you never know what could happen, right? A lot of crazy things can happen. You could be like in Bermuda there, or Bahamas, and like, yeah, how many people are dead in Bahamas? Like, I think there's hundreds, maybe thousands, because they can't get to the bodies and all that. I think a lot of those people had no idea that the storm would be that bad. The hurricane would be that bad and it would stay that long, and they thought they could ride it out. And then they just drowned in their homes and stuff, right? Pretty nasty, pretty awful. And then you just look at the forest fires in California where people burned to a crisp in their cars and stuff. They couldn't even get away, right? You never know, right? You gotta really live life and enjoy life, and that's really important. Don't live in fear. It's crazy. Amazon is working on their delivery drones. My boyfriend tells me about it. Yeah. Isn't Bill Gates releasing mosquitoes into the world, or part of it? You know, that Black Mirror episode with the bees is pretty crazy, because they had the bees have all died off. So some corporation made drone bees, and then somebody hacked the bees so that they could kill people. And the bees that they hacked would go into people's brains and attack the nerve system in the brain, the most painful part, and would cause them incredible pain, so that they would do anything to kill themselves, basically. And it's like, that's spooky stuff, because we're not far off from that technology being unleashed. The drones, I mean, the insect drones are something they've been working on for a long time. Also, when you think about, and there's other Black Mirror episodes that cover this, the one with the dogs, the robot dogs that are used as killers, hunter killers, and they're so fast, and they can adapt to any situation, and they can blow your head off and shit like that. It's just so crazy. And then you see the MIT and Boston Dynamics and things like that, the robots that they're coming out with, and how they can run through terrain, and they keep getting better and faster and stronger and more capable, and they're doing flips and stuff. And it's like, that's not long before those are the soldiers. It's not long before, people think in the future, American soldiers will never bust down our doors. Well, what if it's robots? It'd be pretty bad, right? Because the robots they're not gonna care, right? They're just gonna do what they're programmed to do. So I think that's a threat in the future. Nanotech's a threat. Obviously, all the other things are a threat. We face a scary future, but there's always a flip side to everything. Technology's a double-edged sword. It could be used for real good, and maybe out of some of the bad a lot of good will come out of it, right? And it usually is like that. Like bad things happen, but good things come out of it. Right, so it's not always dire, and we don't have to think the end of the world is coming. And I understand that too. We talked about that, KJ, about end of times, because I know a lot of people feel that way, and it almost feels like they're orchestrating us. It's like they are gaslighting us, folks. They're gaslighting Christians massively. There's no question about it, and they want you to embrace that end of times, because that puts you in a learned state of helplessness. Right? And you're like, well, I'm just going to ride it out, or I'm just gonna fill up my bunker. And that's what they want you to do, because they want you to take you out of the equation. They want you to feel that you're powerless. So we are being gaslighted massively. Anyways. Energy drinks are more toxic than soda. They want us all locked up in small houses, and yeah, all these things. I pretty much live on Mountain Dew 24/7, almost like I drink to the day I die. I gave up brushing my teeth because they're so far gone. Get out of town. Are you serious? I look like a meth head. They're so rotten. I don't know if you're joking or what. I hope not. I hope that's not the case. But if it is the case, well, what are you going to do? I want to get some delivery drones and stop aerial leaflet propaganda, aka truth bombs. Yeah, that would be a way. Yeah, get some planes, just start dropping shit. You have to put a real good collection together of some of the best work that has ever been put together. You get a lot of great videos, some of James Corbett stuff, maybe it's even some of my stuff, and Grace and all these people, and just put it on some of those memory sticks. Just drop gazillions out of the plane. This could save your life. Attention. That could be an idea in the future. So, I'm not. I mean, what else can we do? Pretty soon we're going to be pushed off all these platforms. Fed up with the food industry. Don't buy tech. Throw out Alex's smartphone. Most tech, they only have the power we give them. Told my son when he was 5 not to swallow toothpaste. Absolutely. Don't swallow that shit ever. In fact, on every toothpaste label, there's a hotline to call if you swallow it because it's toxic. Why would they give you something that's toxic? Why? What? To prevent cavities? Are you shitting me? Rinse with salt and water. So when I go to social credit system score gets implanted, you'll get a notification saying, warning, warning, you missed the Pride Parade. You missed the Pride Parade. Get your ass out there before your score will drop. Absolutely. You did not partake in your programming. We are coming to you. We're going to send the dogs or the drones to your door. They're going to... Yeah. It's... Holy crap. That's hilarious, though. I know somebody that had a kid die from eating toothpaste. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I too smell what The Rock is cooking. Yep. Women are terrible at making movies and shows, that's for sure. I wouldn't say that. I think women can do most of those things almost as good. I'm joking, of course. Yeah, women can absolutely. Women can write books and make movies and do everything as good as a man for sure. But should they, or should they be doing that before having kids? That's up to them. But I would say probably not. I think you'd be better off having kids and then doing that stuff later. That's just my thought. But not everyone is the same. So we need to start protesting all these George Soros funded marches. It's very difficult. Yeah. Actually, that's one of the methods that they use. On the cover of The Economist there a couple of years ago when they had their annual cover, they had a Pied Piper leading all the protesters off a cliff. I was laughing about that. I was like, yep, that's exactly what they're doing. All these movements are controlled. And you see them all the time. We've had a bunch of them here in Montreal. They're heavy here. My ex trashes 5 cars in 1 year. They should get insured. That's crazy. That's it though. It's the whole thing. Maybe women shouldn't be driving. Oh, men crack these jokes all the time, right? We could do it when it's just the boys around. And if we do it when the women are around, we're in trouble. Right? We're in trouble. Female drivers. There's something in astrophysics called the axis of evil. It's pretty interesting. Wow, interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I talked about the axis of evil like half an hour ago. The Waltons too, and that's how far behind I am, I guess. But I'm trying to get to all your questions here and comments. So Elon Musk helped found PayPal, and former PayPal employees started ScrewTube. Yeah, the web is, wow, it's crazy. I saw a chart today that would blow your socks off with the Wajikis and all that. Yeah, it's all in the family. Tears is great. We love her in the Truther Realm. Absolutely. You guys are all great. Except the shills. Let's see here. Hey, I tried to research brothers. The brothers, they made the Matrix. Do they have known connections to the call? Oh, yeah. I don't know. Sex change seems like a humiliation ritual. Well, yeah. But, you make the deal. So the Wachowski brothers came, the Wachowski sisters. I showed this when it happened way back years. You take the red pill. Yeah. I think even Red Pill changed his name because he at first, a lot of us thought, well, the red pill was the way to wake up. But it's just a false dichotomy, right? The blue and the red. And the black pill too. It's all just their pills. I guess they want you to take the rainbow pill. Really, they don't take a pill. How about that? That's what you should have done. Neo should have abstained. I'm not going to take either. Neo, his passport, by the way, was September the 11th, 2001, just in case you're wondering. The movie came out in 1999. So, Wachowski. Mm-hmm. Saw a few comments saying the van life girl that you exposed responded to you. Do you know about that? True. Yeah, I don't know if she responded directly to me. She didn't mention me, but she said, people are saying that I'm fake and all this stuff, and and I'm not, whatever. Yeah, okay, go hug Alfredo, you freaking bitch. I'm sorry. That girl's as fake as fuck, and couldn't be more obvious. White snake. They love that symbolism, by the way. Jeff, you should see the PK Subban video where he gets a goat cake for Lindsay. Oh my God, are you serious? See, I told you. Yeah. Evolution will be used massively to bring in transhumanism. Absolutely. Sure. I agree. I have a friend getting into a lot of new age stuff. It's worrying. Canophobic. Yeah, your friend's getting the new age stuff. You should take him aside and give him a little talking to. Canophobic will be a thing soon. Caniphobic. Yeah, the caniphobic, I guess. I mean, if you're have a phobia against cannibalism, it's probably because you're a human being that is not a complete psychopath. I don't know who would be in favor of cannibalism. I really don't understand how anybody could be in favor of cannibalism. I said that in my video where it's like, but I see what you're saying. In fact, I know what you're saying. You're saying that, oh, you're a canophobe. You're one of those. You're a canophobe. I bet you think the earth is flat. And 9/11's an inside job, right? Look, Hilla, it's the Jews. The Jews did 9/11. Look, they used UFOs. Oh, they're so wicked. I think the CRISPR might be the big evolution of man in the one race chimera breed. Yeah, a mixture of man and machine is where it's going. So the man and machine, the man will become more and more machine, and the whatever is left of man will be more and more fine-tuned and selected. And CRISPR, the name CRISPR is just hilarious too, because you think of the crisper where you keep the fruits, right? Keeping your fruits fresh. Keep them in the crisper. Oh man, they're so dark. It's so evil. It's so evil. We the people equals 33. We the people, not we the people. That's from or we are the. I can't remember if that was we are the people or we. Yeah, it's from Taxi Driver, which is a crazy good movie. If you've never seen Taxi Driver, definitely check that one out. Martin Scorsese, the early Martin Scorsese is some of the best movies ever made. And you get a glimpse of New York City in the 1970s, and it is just perfect. It's exactly what New York City was. I wasn't there, I wasn't around, I wasn't even born, but everybody that I know that knew New York City back in the 1970s would say, yeah, movies like Taxi Driver, Mean Streets, another great one. Obviously, Goodfellas. Goodfellas, probably the best gangster movie, not named The Godfather, ever made. Anyways, you can tell I'm a big Scorsese fan, but I don't like his newer stuff at all. I hated Gangs in New York. I hate a lot of his. I think but I think he was brilliant when he did the 1970s. The 1970s is a great era for films too. A lot of great films. I think it's safer, morally safer, if you will, to go back for your entertainment and watch things that weren't so twisted and so full of agendas when people were just struggling with everyday life. I think those films are far more innocent and real. But I think a lot of what you get now is so twisted and is so full of agendas that it's very difficult to watch. I have to watch some of these films. There's a few that I've got to catch that are probably not going to be fun to watch, but I got to keep abreast with what they're putting out. So, anyways, I digress. Stephen King is a pedo, probably. Well, I don't know. Stephen King. I'll be like Isaac Cappy. Yep, pedo. Who? I don't know who else is pedo. And Tom Hanks. You want to know what's the pedo? Brad Pitt. You want to know what's the pedo? That's what he did, by the way. Guy is such a fraud. Man, I can't believe there's emptying billion conspiracy theories with that puke. Guy was so revolting. He was such a shill from day one. He showed up. The Cat Tower operation. Of course. Anyway, so Impossible Food invests a ton of money in fake coffee company. Wow. Fake coffee? I mean, is there nothing they could just leave? Geez, Salem's Lot made for TV movie was pretty good. Yeah, the movie was good. The book is good too. It's his best book. The book is like, it's a great vampire. It's because it's well paced. I remember the movie too. The vampire was pretty awesome in it. It's very scary. I mean that's like the old school vampires. So when you talk about Nosferatu, and the name, or what's his name? I'm trying to remember his name. The I think he was German. The guy that played Nosferatu was such a. I mean, Nosferatu is still probably still one of the scariest movies ever made. I mean, that's freaky. Just watch that. There's no sound to it, or they put music to it or whatever. But you can just watch it with the sound off. It's just scary because he looks so creepy. And it's pretty accurate too to Bram Stoker's Dracula. Probably still my favorite rendition of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Talking horror movies. We're going to be doing a Halloween special, hopefully. Clones are an abomination, in my opinion. There's just something seriously wrong with that. Glad my Rh negative blood prevents cloning. Yeah, hey, that's pretty cool. Gotta like that. You guys, are you a redhead? Stephen King is probably a crypto. Yeah, maybe. I think he's just whacked. Maybe his wife. I don't know, Tabitha or something. Stephen King was a complete failure, and he was like a raging alcoholic, and he was a lot of his characters are based on his character when he was in his 30s, and he couldn't hold down a job, and he couldn't sell a book, sort of thing. And then he got picked up by something, and then next thing you know, I think it was Carrie was the first one that got made into a movie, and it was a hit. It was it. His best stuff. If you're going to read Stephen King, you want to read all the shit he wrote in the 1970s. You want to read Carrie and, The Shining, and what are some of the early ones there? Salem's Lot. Cujo maybe. I don't know. Cujo's okay, but really, I think once he did Pet Sematary, that was probably his last great book, and then he just. But I don't even know if they're great books. I wouldn't call them great books. I wouldn't call any of his books great. I like his short stories. There was one short story of Stephen King that I still remember to this day. It was just so crazy. I think it was called Survivor Man. It was in one of his compilations. So he had like the Bachman books. He had pen names, right? So he wrote different things. But he had the one that had Children of Corn, I think, had the story called Survivor Man. And it's a guy who's shipwrecked on an island. It's just a crappy, rocky island with no trees or anything. And so he starts starving, and he keeps a diary of it. So the story is just his diary, basically. So every day he's putting his diary, and every day he's getting weaker and something. Then he tries to catch a bird. He tries to catch a seagull, and he breaks his ankle. So he cuts off his foot and starts eating it. And his writing becomes more scribbly, and his prose becomes more incoherent. It's just really well done. That's when I think he's at his best. In fact, I think Stephen King would have been best as just a horror short story guy, because I think his novels are bloated. It is just a mess. It's just a big big frickin', going everywhere book. Anyways, why am I talking about Stephen King on a Truther podcast? Jeff, I buy you the Final Fantasy 4 remake on PlayStation 4. Will you stream it? Comes out. Oh man. I don't know. I was very generous of you to offer. I don't know if I could play a big game like that. Would it be so important? Would there be so much programming in it that it needs to be examined? I have a hard time. Like I'll play just quick games to unwind, sort of thing. So I got like a racing game, and then I play Overwatch sometimes just to quick shooter type games. I haven't been doing any of the big story type games, but maybe I will now. I'll have more time, and maybe I'll reboot it. Want to go back and look at Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. I have to go back and look at that game. That game freaked me out to hell and back. And I have to change the controls on it because the controls were all whack. I hate when you play, if you play consoles and you play like a first-person shooter. And it's like one of the things they do on the first-person shooters, if you want to run, you push down on the left thumb joystick sort of thing. And then you develop that instinctual, right? So every time you're in a game and you're in a first-person shooter, you click and you run. But in some games, it does something completely different. So like in The Last of Us, when I would do that, I would become Crouch Man. So instead of running away from the horrible frickin' flower zombies, the freaky Cordycorpse zombie, the Agenda 21 zombies that they created with the spores, right? I would be crouching down. So these things would be attacking me, and I'd be like walking super slow and crouching. And I'd be like, I'm trying to run away. So crazy. Anyways, we'll see. Maybe if I kick that up. But if I kick it back up and I do that, I'm going to definitely make it so I'm constantly interacting with the audience. Because I don't think there's any point me just playing the game not interacting with the people that are watching, because it just, there's no point to that. But that's why it has to have meaning. Like if I'm going to do that, it has to have meaning. It has to be important. So yeah, we'll see. Thanks, Tears, though. I appreciate that. I just listened to The Mountains of Madness by H.P. Lovecraft, the Cthulhu types being frozen in the earth. Yeah, that's one of his great books. Definitely, it's chilling. It's great. I don't ever listen to those audiobooks. People always say, "Oh, you listen to audiobooks." Like, yeah, that could be. I would see, like, one of the best ways to listen to audiobooks for me would be like driving, right? If you're driving for like hours to get somewhere, that would be a great time, because then you could really get into the book. But otherwise, wouldn't really see that, because like I'm usually listening to music if I got a chance to listen to something. But yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, you can't go wrong with Lovecraft, really. If you like horror and you're listening to this, Lovecraft is probably the greatest horror writer of all time. I think you'd be hard pressed to, some people say Edgar Allan Poe, but he didn't write a whole ton of stuff, not a whole ton of horror, but what he wrote was excellent. And then there are others, and then horror can cross over to science fiction and all that. But I love those Lovecraft books. I have them all, and used to read them. We used to go like pass them back and forth with all my friends and stuff. Talk about them for hours and stuff. Really, really deep, cool stuff. It's amazing that H.P. Lovecraft was like, he never made really any money off his books, and they only got published in these ghost magazines and stuff like that. Like they were kind of an afterthought, and now they're complete classics, and they're probably amongst the most influential stuff in pop culture, at least when it comes to horror. Stephen King, obviously, but H.P. Lovecraft, I mean, you have to look no farther than Stranger Things. It's all loosely based on the Cthulhu mythos. The creatures from the Stranger Things are designed. Also, the Bird Box was very much in the same, and there might be truth to it, right? Like a lot of people talk about them opening dimensions, using CERN and other things to open dimensions to bring these creatures in. So there might be actual truth to some of the Cthulhu mythos, because they use it over and over again, right? So and then with Stranger Things, yeah, they're trying to open these portals to why why are they doing it? Anyways, I'm gonna go on and on. Hey everyone, hey Grace, nice to see you. Everyone, check out Grace. If you haven't subbed her channel, you're missing out. Stephen King is creepy as they come. He claims that he was driven by demons and blacks out while writing because something possessed him. Yeah, the story about him being hit, that's a crazy story too, because he was walking down the road and he got hit by a truck or something. So that's where he wrote Misery, which I actually think Misery is pretty good. The movie's pretty good too with Kathy Bates. She's about as creepy of a horror sort of antagonist as exists, and James Caan is a great actor. So that he wrote that based on an obsessive fan, right? So yeah, that's pretty crazy. I wonder about that though. It's so freaky that he got hit, walking down the street. His obsession too with Maine. I've been to Maine, so I like Maine. Like Maine is a cool place, especially along the coast. It's beautiful little fishing villages and quaint little towns. It's a spooky kind of place. It's the kind of place you'd be in October or something like that. You could see that's so all his novels except for The Stand. The Stand is the only one that I can think of what I've read. I think Grace has read them all too, so maybe she'll chime in. But yeah, hey, Hell on Wheels, welcome. Where are we? I'm probably way behind, but yeah. This is Ramble On. I think the MAGA maggots are worse than Antifa. Yeah, they're one and the same, or they're just two birds of a same feather, or they're polar opposites, but they're both used to control the masses and divide and conquer. Mitch Marner just got signed to 6 years, $10.83 million per season. Whew. Mitch Marner, 33. He's Freemason fucks. Yeah, Mitch Marner. He's a great player though. I do like my hockey. I have to admit, folks, if I have one weakness, it's my Montreal Canadiens. So I grew up with the Canadiens. I literally growing up playing street hockey and ice hockey with sons and of the Montreal Canadiens, and going to and Montreal Canadiens being at all the parties and the no joke. I mean, I had Montreal Canadiens living on my streets when I was a kid and stuff like that. It was pretty awesome actually. So and when they won the cup in '93, they had a big party and I was there. So I was very close to the team. I've even been in the dressing rooms, met a ton of players. So if you don't know, Montreal Canadiens are basically the New York Yankees of hockey, and so they're so huge here. But the problem is the league is controlled by certain people, and all the agendas are being pushed into the league, and all the players are witless about what the agendas are. Maybe PK Subban knows a thing or two. So sports is very dangerous these days because it's all the toxic New World Order programming. When you got the NFL players wearing pink and the MLS players wearing rainbows on their jerseys, and you have Pride Night like now all the time. Now they have Pride Week at these all the major league, and then you look at who the commissioners are and a lot of the owners are, and it's pretty scary. They've hijacked it. I think the NHL would have been best if it was always in Canadians' hands, always Canadian commissioners, and it should be former hockey players and stuff like that, and then it'd be a smaller league and it would just be awesome. But instead, they had to make it into one of the big four and compete against the NBA, which they really can't compete against the NBA. And of course, Major League Baseball. I love baseball. I love all the sports. By the way, I play basketball. I play them all. Right. Football. I used to play football when I was in high school. Rugby. All these sports. But hockey and soccer were my best sports. I was really good at both of them. And so ice hockey it's like in the blood of Montrealers. So like 50% of the winter is about Montreal Canadiens. So everything that happens here is. So Toronto and Montreal are the big rivalry, along with Montreal-Boston. That's the biggest rivalry in the NHL. Montreal and Boston. The second biggest is Montreal-Toronto. And Toronto is always envious of Montreal because Montreal is a much, much better city, way better looking people, just more beautiful in every way, shape, and form, way better history, way better food, infinitely better in every way, shape, or form than Toronto. That's just the poking at the Toronto people because that's what we do in Montreal. We always make fun of Toronto people, and they always make fun of us, but they can't really because our city's so much better. Anyways, I digress. I wish hockey season's starting up. I can't wait to catch some of the games, but I'm never going to go to the games live again because there's facial recognition and there's, it's all that's coming in. So anyways, there you go. They control the white people. That little word racist, POC, races allowed to have homogenous homeland, but only indigenous Europeans must suffer mass genocide. Absolutely. It's all a one-way thing. Diversity is strength. Inclusion is strength. White people is evil. White people are terrible. White people have white privilege. White culture must be wiped out. European is racist because they're standing up and trying to preserve their culture, and their culture is racist. So it's awful. It's evil. It's terrible. You would never do that to any other place in the world. You could never go into Japan and say Japan people suck and Japan pride sucks and being Japanese is terrible. You can never go into Africa and tell black people that they're terrible and being black is a privilege and being black and having pride in your heritage is terrible. It's only white people that are treated this way because that is the divide and conquer of the New World Order, and that's how they control us. And one of the ways that they can control us. It's evil. It's awful. Nobody should be ashamed for being white. White people should have absolute pride, just like everyone else. Everyone should have pride in who they are. Absolutely. What do you mean? Why wouldn't you have pride in yourself? What? What, you don't like the people that you are? How could you not like the people that you are? What's wrong with you? I mean, why wouldn't you like yourself? And white people have been as biggest contributors to civilization as any people ever. We've all contributed massively. Chinese have been huge. The people in the Middle East, Arabs have been huge in contributing to so many things in civilization. Russians have been huge. White people, Africans have been amazing. I mean, every type of people that has existed on this planet has had tremendous contributions. We should all feel pride in who we are. We have nothing to do with slavery. Slavery wasn't a white thing. It was just a thing that existed at the time. Was it wrong? Slavery existed for thousands of years. I mean, even in the Bible, slavery, it was just a way of life. Is it right? Not in today's world, but back then it was a different world. You can't judge what happened in the past with what happens today. And, you're disingenuous if you say, well, the whites were trading all the black slaves and all that. Well, who was giving the black slaves to the white traders to begin with? And there was another tribe that was heavily involved, massively involved in the slave trade as well. And nobody ever talks about them and their involvement in it. Nobody ever talks about the black slave owners that sold a lot of these slaves. All that stuff is thrown out because white people bad. It's terrible. Why would we tell any people of any color or any race or ethnicity, why would we tell anyone that they're bad or that they can't have pride in themselves? White people should be walking around with white pride shirts. No joke. Why? Why not? If you can walk around with a black pride, if you can walk around with a black lives, if you can walk around saying I'm Jewish and it's awesome, well, why can't you walk around saying well, I'm white and it's awesome? Why not? It's madness that you can't do that. It's madness. It shows you how evil it is. And it's not about white people being better than anyone. Nobody's better than anyone. Nobody's special. Nobody's God's chosen this or that. That's all bunk. We're all on this planet together. We're all the same. We're all the same species. That is undeniable. There's no doubt about it. And we all should be treated equally. 100%. We can't go back and say, well, these people had privilege and these people are bad. No, screw you. But you don't, you don't help anything. But that's the reality, and it's terrible. It's beyond hypocritical, and people should be irate. White people need to wake up to this. White people need to have pride in themselves, not be white nationalists or white Nazis. That's not pride. That's what they conflate it as. That's what they identify it as. They say that white people have pride or white nationalists or white Nazis. That's total bullshit. Why can't you have pride in being German? I mean, Germans. I mean, the Germans are one of the greatest peoples that have ever existed. How many incredible philosophers and engineers and stuff came out of Germany, right? I mean, it's ludicrous. Why wouldn't you have pride in being German? What? Because of what Hollywood movies tell you? I mean, it's stupid. It's retarded. It's just crazy, and it's not right at all. And just because you have pride doesn't mean you're against anybody else. Doesn't mean you hate anybody else. Doesn't mean, I mean, there's no way I would ever say, oh, black people should live with black people and white people should live with white people. That's stupid. That to me is wrong. Neo-Nazism is wrong. Those are not good things, and neither is black nationalism or Black Panthers and stuff like that, because it's I understand it to a certain extent, but anyways, I think most people know my sentiments on that. I think most people are probably in agreement. I think we have a great number of peoples from all over the world that listen to shows like this, of all different races and religions and ethnicities, and that's great, and that's the way, yes, that's the reality of this world. But none of us should have shame at all in who we are. No way we should have shame, and no way do we bear a burden or should be blamed for things that happened in the past. You want to talk about the past? Well, then let's really open up the past. Let's take a magnifying glass and let's find out who is really doing what. Because we're gonna label one group of people as the tyrants and the privileged people and disregard everything else and every other type of people that was involved. That's ludicrous, but that's the reality. So, oh man, it drives me nuts. It's awful to see this. It bothers me. The thing that bothers me the most is when people I know will come to me and say, look at these white, these stupid white people. It's like, you're white. Why would you say that? What are you saying? Why would you say that? Yeah, okay, if they're neo-Nazis, yeah, they're stupid, right? That makes sense. But if it's just white people who have a bit of pride in who they are, they're not stupid, right? It's stupid not to have pride in who you are. It's stupid not to have pride in your own people. That's retarded. That's as retarded as you could be, to not have pride in your own people. We should definitely believe in our own people, and I'm 100% in favor of multicultural. Well, not multiculturalism as the way the New World Order programs, but I'm saying interracial couples and stuff like. I have no problem whatsoever with that. I think that's fine. It can be even healthy. But I don't think supporting that doesn't mean what they want you to believe is white people marrying white people and having white families is bad. That's retarded. Would you say that to black people? Would you say that to Chinese people? Would you say that to any other group? No. So why would you say it to white people? You understand what I'm saying? So you can be in favor of interracial, and you could be in favor of like I am. I have no problem with immigrants. I mean, I don't believe that the way that we should be repopulating ourselves is by bringing in all the immigrants and not having babies. I think that's retarded. But I'm not against immigration. I'm not against immigrants. I'm not against people I like all people, as long as they're genuine people. I don't care what color, what race. I don't give a damn. In fact, traditionally I get along. I seem to get along with black people a lot better than almost any other people out there. I don't know if they used to think I was, a white guy who was really black or something like that, because I was so into a lot of the black culture and music and all that. And I used to hang out with a lot of black people. But it's ludicrous for any of us to be programmed into hating ourselves. It's madness. It's madness, absolute madness, and it's evil. It's totally evil. And white people should be allowed to have the exact same pride that anybody else should have. The rules should be the same for everybody. Shouldn't be that one group can do this but nobody else can do that, or all people can do this but except this one group. It's retarded. You can't be racist towards white people. Absolutely, you can be racist towards white people. But what is racism anyways, right? I mean, we know what it was historically. But, if you choose not to like somebody, that might have nothing to do with their color. But because maybe you don't like the person and they have a different color, they might think that you're a racist. And it's like, well, maybe they just don't like you. I was in the grocer last year, and it was crazy. There was a crazy black woman. Like, she was crazy. And the cashier asked her if she had anything under her cart. Do you ever get asked that? I get asked that every time. So every time I go to the grocer, the cashier, because they're told to ask that, right? You know that, right? Because, people, I put beer under there. That's where the beer goes, right? And so people, sometimes they'll forget, or sometimes people will just, maybe they won't notice, right? So the employees are told, always make sure to check under the cart, or always make sure you ask the people that if they have anything under the cart there on the lower section. So the cashier, who was, I think, not even white, asked the black lady if she had anything in her cart, and she freaked out, started screaming, "Oh, it's because I'm black," and then I just looked, and I didn't even make a face. I just went, and then she goes, "You're a racist too." It's like, what? And I didn't say anything. I just said, well, this lady's crazy. And I just, zip up your mouth. The lady's crazy. And where I live, just in case you're wondering, I mean, I'm a minority by far. Like, there's way less white people than there are just about anybody else these days. It's changed a lot. So you see what I mean is that people with the victim culture, a lot of people can be programmed into thinking that they're being, that they're being preyed upon, or that racist attacks are happening against them. And it's like, well, maybe they're not. Maybe you're seeing what you want to see. In a lot of cases, that's the case, right? And this extends into the bullying and all that. The victim culture that they program everyone with. The feminism as well. I mean, it's like, you're a victim. It's like, maybe at a point you'll hold the door open for a woman, and the woman will be like, I don't need you to frickin' hold. What are you're a misogynist. You're treating me like I can't open my own door. And it's like, what? Anyways, I digress. I think it's an important thing to mention, though. Like women who are supportive of men, women who lift the man up to make him better. Yes, absolutely, 100%. Jeff Censored, have you heard of the Canadian political party National Citizens Alliance, NCA? Yeah, I think I was going to cover them. They're white, in favor of white people staying together or something like that. I think so. And I would disagree with that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with white people. I think there's everything right with white people having pride in who they are and in their heritage and in their ancestry. Absolutely. So did you see the Isaac Cappy dash cam video? Yeah, I did see it. It's so stupid. I mean, whether the guy killed himself or it's just a psyop, I don't care. The guy is so irrelevant. Nobody should ever give him the time of day. I mean, he was a decrepit freak. He was a drug addict. I mean, there's so many things about the guy that were just wrong. He's just a bad person. And he even admitted it in that video that he put up. He's like, I let everyone down. I've done this. I've done that. I've done all these terrible things. Okay, you've done all these terrible things. Yeah, I mean, he didn't need to kill himself, but who cares, right? I mean, okay, if you know him, maybe you'll shed a tear, or maybe you'll go to the funeral, but otherwise, I don't give a damn. People are dying every day all over the place. What are you going to do? I'm going to stop and think about this person. I mean, the last person that you should be thinking about is Isaac Crappy. I mean, the guy was just a loser, an idiot. Right, and he took a scam. They offered him money, and he did what they call a LARP, right, or a live action role play, or whatever they call it, right, a LARP, and he took people for a ride, and he said a lot of bullshit things, and they were all bullshit. Come on, you think he knows Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg are pedophiles? You think he saw them fondling children? What, are you stupid? And if somebody else told them, come on, that's not enough to know. Somebody told somebody and you heard it through the grapevine, that's not enough to go publicly with that. And if he'd be damned in the court of law for slander, and he'd be fined and maybe even imprisoned if any of the celebrities bothered to even acknowledge his existence. And I'm sure a lot of these people are pedos, but that's not the way that you're ever going to expose them, and it's total bullshit. Anyways, you know what I feel about Isaac Crappy. I'm sure Nathan had a whole fucking, that guy, fuck that guy. Anyways, he's the only guy I don't mind calling out. Fuck that guy. Anyways, we're not gonna talk about it anyway. You don't know that Stephen King is Jewish? I don't know. I don't think he is, but maybe he is. I don't know. You have to look it up. Stephen King is Jewish. Okay, then maybe that's true. Then that would make sense why he, if that's true, then maybe that would make sense why he hated Christianity so much and mocked it so much. That would certainly explain. I mentioned that before when I was talking about Stephen King. I said the guy, one thing I recollect from his books is he hated Christians and he would always mock them. He would always have crazy Christian people. The best example that I can think of is the crazy Christian mother of Carrie. Right? They're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm quoting. Right? The crazy mother who couldn't take it that her kid. She didn't even tell her daughter that she would have a period. So she was in the shower, kind of blissfully daydreaming, and all of a sudden she was bleeding. She started screaming, and all the girls were laughing at her because she had her period and she didn't know what it was. Because her mother was a crazy Jesus freak, right? That's the way it's depicted. It's crazy. And it's like a lot of people would go and see that and they'd be like, yeah, crazy Jesus people, Christians are crazy. That's not true. That's bullshit, right? That's just, there are crazy Christians. Yeah, you can see some of them on YouTube. But that's not there's 2 billion Christians. Come on, seriously? A lot of them are good people. Anyways, I'm tired of men and women attacking each other. They each have their own strengths. The balance, it's the whole balance, the yin and the yang, the male and the female. It's essential for the balance in nature. I know it's a part of Hermeticism, but it's totally true, right? That the male and the female coming together give the stability and the balance, and that's what makes families and makes life everywhere. All life requires that male-female sort of evenness. The male strength, right? The women's softness and caring, the men's strength and cunning and whatever else. I mean, the different elements that come together of the male and the female is what makes us a whole, right? And that's what they're trying to destroy. So there's no reason for. I mean, the whole feminist thing is nonsense. So much of it is absolute nonsense. It's like women are victims. No, there's a reason why women stayed at home. They were raising kids, for fuck's sakes. You can't fucking be a full-time doctor working 60-hour work weeks and raise 3 kids. It's impossible. Well, what did most women do up until, say, 1980? Most women up until about 1980 were having babies and raising kids. So how can they be working in a glass tower 40, 50, 60 hours a week when they're raising kids? It's the natural way of life. It doesn't mean women shouldn't be in glass towers. It doesn't mean women can't do most jobs that men do, even better in a lot of cases. I'm sure of that. I've had some female doctors that were fantastic. Not even a second would I doubt that they could be every bit as good at most jobs. Not physical jobs, but most jobs. But that's not the case. This is not what it's about. All right? There's a basic structure. The family nucleus is what they're destroying. So they're misleading women by programming them into being victims. When it's like, no, women stayed at home and were mothers because they were raising families. Not because they were oppressed. And now, you think all those women now that would have been, look at the rate of depression now and the amount of women that aren't having babies and aren't having families and they're working in glass towers. Do you think they're happier? Are you crazy? Right? I mean, get the fuck out of town. So this is a lie. The big whole, so much of it is a lie. And so much of it is disingenuous. It doesn't mean that obviously women should have the right to vote. I'm 100% favor of that. And obviously women should be able to do most jobs. I agree with that. But it's not that they're victims. It's just the natural order. We can't have a family unless, that's the way the families were. And we didn't have microwaves until like the 1980s. You didn't have a toaster until like the 1940s. You know what it was like to be a mother in, let's say, the 18th or 19th century? Come on. Right? Look at the women in Africa that I mentioned before, that Belinda Gates says are all suffering. Why are they suffering? What are they suffering from? What, because they don't have their black mirror? That they can't fucking work in a glass tower? Instead of walking around in the sun all day and tending to crops and raising kids? Collecting water? Milking cows? Right? What's better? I'd rather do the latter 10 times out of 10 than being hooked up to the black mirror and being miserable and being a giant city stuck in traffic and, getting up at what? We're getting up at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning just so you can, get in the shower and then do all your makeup and then making your breakfast and then getting in your car, getting in the metro, getting on the bus, going downtown, making sure you get to work on time, spending all day getting half an hour for lunch, right? All day working in a glass tower, working in a bank. What, you think you're happier? You're better off? I beg to differ. So they want to portray the women from the 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s, and all women previously as victims of male patriarchy when it's not true at all. Yeah, okay, men, old boys club, yeah, that stuff, but that's natural. It was natural. Men were out working. Men were bringing home and then people say things like, women were victims because they weren't working. Well, they were working. And then what's more difficult, going to work in a glass tower or raising kids? I would say the latter. Raising kids is far more demanding. It's far more tiring. It's far more physical. But yet it's far more rewarding. So, this feminism is a lie. It's a lie. It's a manipulation. It's a deconstruction of the family. So that's what I think. I think they're making women into men and they're making men into women. They're sick. They're inverting everything. So, I don't know. Women, please chime in. Let me know what you think. Thinner is a good movie. It's a good story. I don't know if I read that. That's the one where the guy gets touched by. I remember reading the book. I think the guy gets touched by somebody, and it's like some voodoo priest, and they say thinner, and then he just starts getting thinner every week, and he keeps losing weight or something like that. I vaguely remember it. What non-toxic toothpaste do you recommend that is not super expensive? Tom's from Maine. I don't know. That's the one I've used. There's other ones too. They're hard to find. You go to your pharmacy or your Walmart and you look way down and in the corners or way up and in the high corners, away from all the name brands. You'll see they're where nobody's looking basically. So look where nobody else is looking and you'll find or you can buy them online, order them or something like that. Hilla Klein is Nosferatu's great-granddaughter. Is that a fact? Coconut oils loosens plaque. Yep. I prefer to serve my man. I am an alpha man. He's a wonderful provider and I support him. I have an alpha man. I thought you said. I'm like, are you an alpha man? What? Are you gay? No. Excellent, Sandy. Wonderful to hear that. And alpha man, yeah. Alpha man for the W. Frickin' hell yeah, man. You should be alpha. Or if you're not, you can be smart, And not everybody, and alpha doesn't necessarily mean strong. It can be very intelligent too, right? Intelligent people can be leaders and often are the best leaders. So it doesn't necessarily mean physical brawn, but it does mean male sort of intelligence and can do it sort of thing. My man provides for me everything I could ever dream of. I'm pretty sure that pleases me. Yeah, some women have a lot of testosterone, which is terrible. Just like some men have a lot of estrogen, right? So, you know what? Here, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna crack open a brewski because it's Friday night. I'm gonna come right back. time for the bone broth. Hey, nice to see you, Rain Pipe. Yeah, Jeff, thank you, Anonymous, for explaining that to Cube. We're going to do the show. I'm going to try to do the show definitely 100% next week. I have to get it all set up. I explained it before, just in case you're late coming in. The StreamYard thing, I was wary, so I had to make a new account, but I haven't been approved yet by YouTube, so I can't go live and host it through StreamYard, because StreamYard, I realized today when I went to, I figured when I went on KJ's show and I used StreamYard, but I didn't have to make an account. He had the account. When I told KJ about StreamYard, he didn't know. He was like, "What? Are you serious?" Because I told him, I said, StreamYard has access to everything, like all your accounts, everything. They can comment, they can delete your account, they can do all that. And I was like, no way am I going to sign up for that. So I'm going to make another YouTube channel. I've already made it. And then I'm going to get that verified and approved. And then I'm going to use that channel through StreamYard. And then I'll probably take the video once it's done live and upload it to Jeff Censored Live for more people to see it, sort of thing. So we'll have that next week. I will 100%. I'll have it all ready and done. So I thought, since I wasn't able to host the show, I would take questions and get in the chat and connect with people, because I put it out that I would be hosting the show tonight. So I'm doing a double header, man. We did a lot of talking. We had a lot of time. It's like the old days. I remember the old days where we used to have the 8-hour podcast, right? Sometimes, I remember one time, I think I can recall back in the heyday when we had We'll Do It Live, and it was on all these different shows all the time. There was so many shows back then too. There was just, everybody was making a show. We'll Do It Live created a huge sort of a whole bunch of similar type shows. Not all of them was good. But I used to appear on a lot of different shows, and I remember one time where I did, I think, 3 shows in one day. It was crazy. It was like, what? And people were like, Jeff C., I heard you earlier today on such and such a show. So, and shout out to anybody that might have discovered me through KJ Osborne. Welcome. Thank you for subbing Jeff Censored Live, because this isn't even on Jeff Censored. I want to keep Jeff Censored for just the main videos. And maybe if I go live alone, and I'm doing something, I might do it occasionally on Jeff Censored, but I'm going to try to do all the live shows here. And if I can't do it, like if I'm doing Jeff C. and Friends and I'm using Streamlord, I'll upload it to Jeff Censored Live after, so people can watch it. More people can see. So thank you so much. I feel bad for not being able to host a show. And I hope, I don't know if Bug Spasher's been around, but really wanted to get him on, and Anonymous and Cube and all these guys on, because it's so much fun doing the show, and I really enjoy it. I mean, I think people know that, the shows would go 6 hours sometimes or more. So anyways, this one ain't going to go that long. Yeah. Nice to see you, Cube. Hey, Jeff, I am really late. Hey, it's okay, Rain Pipe. Better late than never. LARP is such a great word. Yeah, I guess. I don't know who came up with that. Live action roleplay. I guess that's a video game term, right? Or was it Dungeons and Dragons? Live action. Would that be what Dungeons and Dragons is? It's interesting. Anyways. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to try to catch up to everybody. So I missed a bunch of shit. I just want to catch up to where people are, because I know I'm rambling, blah, 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 blah. And then people are reacting to what I'm saying, maybe. And then I can't get the reactions, and then I get to it 20 minutes later. So I just want to get caught up here. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get right down to the bottom. I got Hell on Wheels saying here, what would you say to someone who doesn't think they should be parents? I don't think I should have kids for many reasons. I don't want to bring life into this world, but I don't want to do the other thing. No problem. Don't feel bad. There's a lot of people that go through life without having kids. There's nothing wrong with that. And not having kids is not right for everyone. And a lot of us might be worse off if we do that, because we've been so accustomed to not having kids. And, a lot of people that do have kids and they're used to having all this me time, all of a sudden you have no me time. So one thing you got to realize, you have kids, that's it. You have no free time. It's over. Believe you me. Well, I don't know personally. I don't have kids at this moment. And I'd love to have them. But I have family and friends that have kids, and that's it. No sleep. No sleep until the kids are out of the house, basically. Well, maybe when they're in their teens and stuff like that. And it's going to age you because you're not going to sleep as much, and you're going to have no free time, basically. I mean, how are you going to have free time, right? Especially if you're working, or if you're both working, which is terrible. And that's the way most people it is, because it's so impossible. So no, there's no shame in it, and there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, the New World Order would love you. They want you to do that, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And don't feel any shame, and don't feel any pressure. And enjoy your life, dude. Don't worry about it, right? That's all I can say. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and nobody needs to talk you out of it. There's nothing to talk out of. So MGTOW is pretty dumb. It doesn't show men being men. Women like that shit. Yeah, men should be men. Women should be women. Absolutely, 100%. Right? I don't want to date a man. I don't. I think it was Guy Pearce who. My brother told me this years back, because he would read the gossip, and he says, yeah, Guy Pearce, the guy that made Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch, made a couple cool movies, made a lot of shitty ones, but he his first couple movies, he married Madonna, and then when he broke up with Madonna, he said it was like sleeping next to a man. I was like, don't want that. No way. Are you kidding? I like my women soft and sweet, not masculine. I don't want to go out with a woman that's all working out all the time and all muscular thinking she's a man. Get the frick out of town. Not that women shouldn't be fit or in shape or should feel bad for working out. I think it's fine to work out, but I don't think women need to be like men. When I talk about women, I say, women rugby. I'm like, I played rugby like when I was in high school. And that is like the most physical game I played. I played football, rugby, soccer, hockey, basketball. I played everything. And the most physical game I could say, the most manly game, was rugby. It was brutal. I mean, people got injured all the time. You have to tape up your ears so people wouldn't peel your ears off. People would punch you when you're in the scrum. I mean, it's just brutal. People step on you, broken legs, broken ribs, all kinds of crazy shit. I'm like, women, rugby is all over the place these days. I'm like, what? That's nuts. Why would you want to play rugby if you're a woman? That's crazy. Why? It's not what women should be. Sorry. I don't believe women should be in mixed martial arts. I'm sorry about that. I know the fights can be very exciting. I know some of the fighters are extremely skilled. They would all get wiped by a man, but of the same size, but still, but I don't think they should be in it, because I think it's part of New World Order programming. So, yeah, I think that's crazy. Anyways, we're over here. Hi, Serious Commentator. Have a wonderful night if you're already gone. Well, it'll be too late, but Miss Mooney, my job sells love. Okay, that's for somebody else. You should make a video exposing MGTOW. Be warned, they are nasty. Yeah, they'll come after me. I don't know. Maybe I'll talk about it. There's been people that coming at me with MGTOW stuff. Even recently, I've had some commentators say, this is the reality and shit like that. I'm like, yeah, whatever. No, I don't believe. I honestly believe this. Like the yin yang, the balance, the male, the female. I think that's the best thing in the world. You have a great woman and you have a great man. I mean, behind every great man is a great woman, right? And then behind every great woman is a great man, sort of thing. It's the perfect balance. So, and couples, you shouldn't need to go to therapy or anything stupid like that, because you shouldn't be watching television, right? You should be doing stuff with your significant other, right? What are we gonna do? Well, bake, make meals together and freaking. Read books together and play games together and go on romantic walks together and go places, and don't put on the television. Don't ever put on the television. Don't even have a television. Don't ever look at porn. Don't ever watch porn, right? I mean, there's no place anywhere in your mind. Love the person that you're with. What's so hard about that? anyways. What's so hard about that? I mean, it's so much better than anything synthetic or artificial. It's retarded. This is the problem. I mean, people wonder why relationships don't work. Well, you look at you're being mind controlled all the time. Your relations don't work because you're watching their mind control. You're putting on their rape and all their porn and everything else, and you're thinking it's normal for people to do that. It's not gonna. Your relationship will not work out. It will not work. Right? I mean, you need some time alone or away, to maintain a healthy relationship, but you should be together as much as possible. And you should be raising kids. I mean, if you're not, just spend as much time together as possible. There's nothing that can beat it. It's nothing better than like for a guy to be with a girl and vice versa. It's perfect. It's wonderful. So, I mean, it's ludicrous that the people have so many problems these days because and that's it. It's like we're not meant to be the way that most people are these days. We're not meant to be in this type of mentality. It's awful. You come home and you're put it on the television. You're going to destroy your relationship. Will be over with in no time. Because Oprah Winfrey, I mean, you come home and put on Oprah Winfrey. She's telling women, you're suffering. No, men are awful. It's like, what? That's not good for a woman to see. And then the woman's going to be looking at the man all the time. That's all the programming, right? They're always telling you. The women's magazines are the same thing, how to cheat on your man, or, like he's not giving it to you. 13 reasons or 13 ways to find another man. And just like the men, the same thing with the men, the Playboy and all that, Penthouse. I talked about that on KJ's podcast. Penthouse letters, how to cheat on your wife, how to get away with it. Ashley Madison, right? Life's short, have an affair. That's the worst thing ever. Who would say that? I wonder who. Who would say that? Really? Life's short, have an affair. Yeah, great. Say goodbye to your marriage. Say goodbye to your family. Say goodbye to everything. Why? Because you couldn't keep you couldn't keep faithful to your wife. It's ludicrous. Ludicrous. It's horrible. You find somebody you love and you stay with that person, right? And you make a life with that person, and you'll be the happiest person in the world. That's my advice to anybody out there. Anyways. Go to strip clubs together. I think I talked about it the other day. The stag parties are an abomination. The bachelorette parties are an abomination. Like, well, what are you doing? You're going to go out and go to strip clubs and engage in all these debaucherous things just before you get married? I wonder who's behind those things. It's terrible. It's terrible. Your television is so evil. It's so evil. It's not there to make people stronger. It's there to destroy you. Right? It's there to break families up. It's there to normalize divorce. All these shows, they're all bad. They're all pushing that. I talked about Sopranos before. I mean, all these shows have been pushing this. Everybody's cheating all the time, and they make it glamorize, they glamorize that, oh, wow, it's so intoxicating. I can't get enough. I got to cheat, It's horrible. It's terrible. This is never the way people should be. And one thing I'll say about The Godfather, especially, was it Vito? The original Godfather, if you watch that. The character that Marlon Brando plays. And I think in the second one, it's Robert De Niro, right? And when he goes with his friend to see this girl that his friend's got a big crush on, sort of thing, and he's going, oh, she's beautiful, she's the best, she's there, and he's like, yeah, that's okay, but I have my wife, she's the only woman I need, and so the whole character of Vito Corleone was that he never cheated on his wife because that's what. The sacred sort of Italian sort of family thing. You don't do that. A man's got to be a man. Man sticks with his woman, right? You don't cheat on your wife. You don't, because then you ruin everything. It'll never be the same. You'll never ever trust. Once trust is gone, it's it. It's done. Your relationship's done. The minute that you lose the trust, it's done. It's done forever. Some people live in denial for years. They think, oh, somehow I can fix it. No, you can't. It's done. Once you lose trust, you'll never get it back. So you can never break that. That's what I'm saying about monogamy. I mean, they tell you monogamy doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work because people are watching television. They're watching Hollywood movies. They're playing all the games and they're watching the porn. And they think that's normal. And they think somehow if I do all this stuff, I'll still be able to maintain my relationship. No, you won't. No, you won't. Your relationship will go to smithereens because the mind control will take over and people will turn on each other. That's the reality. So they're doing everything they can to destabilize and keep us from being strong. So it's very evil the way that they do this. When you're saying on KJ's show about porn being satanic, it's so true. It's making young men not want to find a woman and get married just because it's to be get married, but just be a degenerate and never become mature. Absolutely. They addict you to the thrill. It's a chemical reaction in your brain, the dopamine, right? They know that every time you click on and they give you something more, right? It's something more. Oh, now I'm going to see a threesome, instead of just two people. Now I'm going to see a foursome, right? Now I want to see this. Now I want to see that. And it's like, there's no love. There's no love whatsoever. I think porn is disgusting. I hate porn. I absolutely. I love women. Oh God, there's nothing I love more. I mean, a beautiful naked woman is the most beautiful thing in the world. It's like something from the heavens to me. It's like it can't be real. It can't be real. How could something be so beautiful? Porn is revolting because it's just. What is that? It's just animal. That's just animal. There's no love there. There's love is everything, right? It's like they take the love and they take the most important element and they throw it away. And it's all about me, selfie, and just getting my rocks off. And then the addiction can only go further. Like the addiction makes you want more every time. And then you got to keep going back and you have to get something extra. And so people that watch porn the first time might get off quickly, and then the next time it takes double time. The next time it might take 3 times long. Next thing you know, they're spending hours a day watching porn. And the New World Order loves this. This is what they love. They want to make it normal. I've shown this for years. I've shown how all these popular YouTubers promote the porn and the porn consumption like it's a healthy part. Honest Ian, Shilly DeFranco, the fucktard, H3, all these people all the time, like porn is great, porn is awesome, even Chunk Yogurt, I mean, these people are awful people. None of their relationships will work because they're all practicing the things that will destroy people. I mean, it's so evil what they do to people. It is so evil. And then people wonder why things didn't work out. It's because you watch television. It's the quickest answer I could give you. You're watching television. Television's breaking you apart. You don't even know it. Television's telling your wife on Oprah Winfrey and Ellen DeGeneres that your husband's this and your husband's that, and men are this and men are that. What do you mean men are this and men are that? Your man is your man. Your wife is your wife. Your woman is your woman. You don't need some television to tell you anything. You know that better than anything. In fact, you need nothing to come in between you. That's the whole thing. Nothing should come in between you. You set the example. You be the change you want to see. You can't go halfway. You can't be like, I like the girl, but, I like porn too. And, she likes watching it, sometimes. And, I mean, it's never going to work. Never, ever. Never. Anyways, it's just evil. Yeah. You've never cheated on anyone, no matter how badly they deserve it? Really? Black Cube, are you serious? What about Titus? I'm kidding. Yeah, good for you. Great stuff. I love to hear that. There's and that's one of the good things about Christianity, right? Because that's what Christianity preaches. A lot of the great things, stay with your wife. Do not divorce, right? Stay with the person that you love, sort of thing. Don't forget the incest. Yeah, of course. The mom and the sis and all that. Yeah, of course. Look at Game of Thrones. Look at all these shows, Boardwalk Empire, all these shows that infuse, Boardwalk Empire, they had the son fucking the mother. No joke. They even showed the sex scene. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck am I thought I was watching gangsters. What the hell does this have to do with gangsters? It's like, oh my God. Game of Thrones. I mean, the first episode, the brother's fucking the sister. I mean, this is all their deconstruction of what we are. It's like just give in to your impulses, give in to your urges. You know, it's evil. It's sick. It's twisted. It's all these things. It is very, very evil. Yeah, your first boyfriend cheated on you. It's horrible too, right? It's like, well, that's why he's not your boyfriend anymore, right? Many people may deserve to be left. Cheating destroys the cheater too. Yeah, I agree. I mean, nobody wins, right? Nobody wins. I used to have friends that would like be the ladies' man type thing, where they certain guys we just had the look and whatever, and they would have a girlfriend that they would love, but they would cheat like crazy. And it's just like, why? Your girlfriend's so beautiful. If I had your girlfriend, I would never cheat. It's like, people take so much for granted because they don't have no mentors. They have no they're watching television. They think it's normal to cheat. They think it's, why not? Get away with it. Well, you're going to ruin it. You're going to ruin what you have. You don't know what you have until it's gone, right? I mean, that's a good phrase. I mean, hopefully you know what you have. If you know what you have, then it won't be gone. Hopefully. Porn is stupid, disturbing, desensitized piece. It's brutal. It's it is. It's everything negative that you could possibly. There's nothing good about porn. Nothing. The porn industry is horrible. There's no way. There's no two ways about it. You can't say, oh, yeah, it can be good. Nah, no, there's nothing good about it. It's evil. It's there to pervert your mind. It's there to take you away from having relationships. Of course, H3s and all that stuff. That's what they do. How about Cosmopolitan? Yes, absolutely, 100%. Of course they are. And they're addicting people to sex, too. They're using sex as a weapon. My best friend, my best guy friend is devoted Christian, and he cheats on his wife all the time. That's terrible. Well, then he's not a devoted Christian. Can he? You can't be a devoted Christian if you're breaking the rules of Christianity. You're not supposed to cheat on your wife, ever. The Bible says that, right? You don't cheat on your wife. So you're not a Christian, then. You can't be a Christian if you're cheating on your wife. A man who hates his wife hates himself. That's biblical. Yeah. All the president's family are also into incest, of course. Yeah, I agree, Jenny. I mean, it's like, I like the show too. It was like, it lures you in. It's like Al Capone and Nucky Thompson and, Lucky Luciano and, what's his name, Meyer, and all these famous gangsters. And they're all so well played and well cast, and it's so well filmed, and it's such a cool story. Although, Steve Buscemi as Nucky Thompson was a terrible miscast. Even though he does a good job, he's nothing like Nucky Thompson. Nucky Thompson was like 6'4". He was a huge guy. Nobody fucked with him. He wasn't a skinny little runt of a man, right? So that kind of shouldn't have been like that. But the show was really well written and really well done otherwise. But then when that happened, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And then of course the guy there, the character that played that character, his wife was a lesbian. It was like, what? And it's like, no, that's not how things work. Yeah, maybe one, now and again sort of thing. But they didn't have television back then, so they didn't do those things, right? It's just evil. It's what it is, because they take the things that we like. To be fair, no sane woman would want to touch Chunk Yogurt. Yeah, it's true. He's a revolting pig, man bear pig, right? He's a sweaty, ugly, stupid-looking Turk, right? He's just a revolting creature. He's a guy I'd take out in the alley. I'd find him. There he is. All right, let's wait till he goes out to his car. And like, hey, Chuck, I'm a fan. Can I get an autograph? And then, you know what I think? I think you're a piece of shit. Hopefully he takes his swing and then you just beat the living pus out of him. I'm joking, YouTube community. Of course. Yeah. I think that's just called posing. There are no family shows that promote correct morals. Absolutely. And values. There's always the agenda. Why can't we just have a few shows that uplift? Because they don't want that. That's why. They don't want that. That's the last thing they want. I talked about that before. They used to have a show called The Waltons. You can look this up on YouTube. When I was a kid, they used to have the reruns on. And it was like the world's most boring show, but it was it's a bunch of Christians that lived in a house, right? And they all supported each other. Nobody was, cheating on anyone and all that. I mean, that was that the last time there was a show about families actually being families? Probably. I mean, maybe there's a few others there, right? But no, the three men, one baby, the 2.5 Men, I mean, there's all these shows. I don't even know because I never watched them, right? But they're all shows that promote debauchery and cheating and porn and everything else. So they don't want family. That's the last thing they want. They don't want a family nucleus. They don't want a wife that loves her husband and a husband that's devoted to her wife. They don't want that. They don't want a woman that stays at home and raises her kids and makes super kids and a family that functions. That's anathema to them. They hate that. They like it for themselves, but they don't like it for us. Like they practice it for themselves. Well, they probably cheat too because they're so. Anyways, there are no family shows. Yeah, that's it. Hollywood is run by pervs. Has anyone tried to watch the new Bachelor show? Yeah, they're all sick, folks. I agree. Adam Weishaupt, their founder of Illuminati, had his own person in charge of just porn. Wow. Yeah, porn has been around. The Romans had it. In drawings and stuff, but also they would have mass orgies. And that, you wonder why the Roman civilization fell. Well, it's much like today. I mean, a lot of the shit that they were in the she-males and crap like that too. And the emperors that were the worst emperors were the ones that were beholden to their vices. Like Caligula, who Bob Guccione made a movie about, which is an awful movie. That's just like I don't know if anybody's seen Caligula, but it's I've seen it. It's fucking terrible, but it's basically a Roman movie that is mixed with porn. So they took like A-list actors and they had them play the roles of Roman characters, and then they brought on all these porn stars and they filmed all these hardcore sex scenes and they mixed the two together. And it's just a terrible movie. It's just awful. But Caligula was a monster. I mean, he was and he only lasted a few years. I think 3 years maybe. And he fucked his sister and all this shit. The Ptolemies, right, where Cleopatra's from, the last dynasty that ruled Egypt before they were completely conquered by the Romans, or incorporated by the Romans. They were brother-sister dynasty for over 300 years. Brother married sister. So Game of Thrones throws a lot of that shit around, right? So there's a history of it, but it's never good though, right? It's always bad, and that's why the royal families have hemoglobin, they have blood sicknesses in them because there's so much incest in their history, right? So they have and Ashkenazis have problems too with their blood. You look up Steven Pinker on YouTube talking about this, where he talks about how the Ashkenazis have the higher IQ, but they also have the incest or the bloodlines that are there's too much intermarriage and sort of shit. Anyways, it's so crazy. A guy take out an alley. Junk Yogurt. Did you hear what? I don't know if you heard this, Q, but Junk Yogurt. He was talking about. I don't know what I'm trying to remember what the topic was, but he was talking about blowjobs, and he was saying that if a guy came up to him, now imagine this is supposed to be a news show. He's saying this: if a guy came up to him and offered a blowjob, he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna turn that down." If a guy came up, and it's happened to me, and people have been hurt. You come up and ask me that, I'm gonna hurt you. I'm gonna tell you to get away real quick before I hurt you. I'll give you a warning. You take it one step further, I will beat the living crap out of you. As disgusting, it is just revolting. But and that's what happens in fag bars, right? I mean, the the pride is all. I mean, the gay villages are all about promiscuity, right? It's like just go and have sex, 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 sex. Right? Get off, get off, get off, get off. Never ever satisfied, but always getting that quick fix, and then taking the drugs and everything else with it. So that's why the gay villages are really toxic, and the people shouldn't be in these things. You should be with other people. You should be with normal people. You shouldn't be in a transgender village. You shouldn't be, I mean, you should be in a normal village with normal people, because then you'll be more normal, and you'll be better, and you'll be happier. But if you're in a toxic environment where it's all about sex and drugs and all this, well, what do you think? You think you're going to be happy? Hell no. Why do you think the rate of depression is so high amongst people in the rainbow? Because it's a lie. It's a lie. They're not happy. Gay means happy. Yeah, whatever. Maybe 100 years ago. There's a guy trying to sue Dr. Phil. He had Crohn's disease and a brain tumor and got addicted to pills. Dr. Phil said he would get him help, but sent him to a bed and breakfast. Dr. Phil's a shill. I hate him. What we got here? Excuse me. I don't even know. I mean, it's been so many years since I've heard him or listened to him. He just looks like somebody's cake hole. And he's on Oprah Winfrey. That's all you need to know. Oprah Winfrey, the OWN, NWO, of course, always reverse. I know they could throw us something once in a while. One or two will come out per year, and the ratings are high. They didn't last long. I'm not sure what that is. Married with Children was was the start of this agenda on TV shows. No, Captain Wrong Think. You are wrong thinking. You are wrong thinking. I'm sorry, Captain Wrong Think. I have to correct you. No, your entertainment's always been weaving this stuff in. In fact, Bug Smasher showed us. We did a presentation on Jeff C. and Friends way back, maybe a year ago, where he showed, well, Hollywood has always been promoting the same shit. In fact, back in the 1930s, they were promoting homosexuality and lesbianism and all this stuff in their movies. And it wasn't until there was a strong reaction, and mostly from Christians, that forced there to be a regulatory board that forced that the studios actually adhered to a certain standard. So they weren't allowed to depict sexuality and nudity and shit like that, but they were doing that even before. There's a book and a movie called the Day of the Locust, which is pretty revealing. Actually, that's where Homer Simpson comes from, the original Homer Simpson, and it shows like Hollywood 1930s, where the studio execs and the actors and stuff, they were all into drugs and porn films. They would have their own stag porn parties and shit like that. It's much the same as it is today. It's just a different tech. But yeah, the same debauchery. Just like the Romans, too. It's nothing new. I mean, when it comes to sexuality, the Romans, whatever you could think of, they tried. At least the most sickest ones. The best Romans, the most clear-headed, the Marcus Aurelius type Romans, right? The Trajans, the great Roman emperors were people that weren't polluted by their vices, and they were trying to make Rome a better place. The ones that were just, the Caligulas and stuff were the horrible ones, because they just assumed power, and they were already prisoners to their vices, so they just used their power to engage and indulge themselves in whatever they could, whatever they fancied. So your programming has always been strong. A good example of this is in the music industry. David Bowie, Elton John in the 1970s really opened the door for all the sexualism. So you could say there are certain shows that push certain agendas, right? You could say Will and Grace, and I've never seen the show, but I know that Will and Grace they say, is the first sitcom to feature a lead homosexual as a character. But they were always pushing it in for the longest time. They've always been every chance they could get, they were pushing the boundaries in television. So I disagree that it all started with one show. I think it's always been there. It's just there's been different, things holding it back. They were always pushing the boundaries, in other words. So where's I don't know. I feel bad. Let's see here. Yeah, Bug, I hope you're well. I feel bad because he was really looking forward to doing the show. Love having Bug on the show. He's so smart, really great, so much knowledge. Um, the town of Jordan, Minnesota had a giant orgy with the town gathering in a circle of sex. No one was arrested in the end. When was that, Miss Mooney? Um, it's difficult for rich people to be good because any vice they have, they can fund it. So yeah, that's the whole thing too. Um, because when you have the wherewithal to be able to indulge yourself, then that's why mentoring, right? And developing strong mental constitution are essential to being good human beings. So you could be a really good human being and have lots of money if you have already been a good human being before you had the money. The best people aren't changed by wealth, right? The best people stay exactly the same. You know people like that, right? There's people that you know that all of a sudden came into money or somehow became successful, but they're still the same person. You can still talk to them. Those are the best people. The worst people are the people that change completely, or because all of a sudden they have money, they can do whatever they want. And then they become nasty because they just pursue. There's also that right brain sort of satanic sort of mindset that a lot of people, the narcissistic, hedonism, right? Which people can fall into, where it's just a pursuit of your own carnal desires. And a lot of films and a lot of movies and a lot of rock and roll music pushes that. Rock and roll in many ways pushes that, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, where do you think that came from? Our controllers, because they want you to be sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Now, I love rock and roll, but I love the music. I don't, and the music is anyways is just it's based on blues. So rock and roll, in many ways, is just an extension of blues. So sex, drugs, and rock and roll is not really what rock and roll should be about. It's more what they want you to believe it's about, when really the music itself doesn't have to be that way. You can be sober as a judge and play rock and roll. In fact, Stevie Ray Vaughan's a great example, because I'm a huge Stevie Ray Vaughan fan. Love Stevie. One of the best guitarists, blues guitarists of all time. And he was a massive alcoholic and cocaine addict. He was so bad that he was killing himself in his early 30s, like killing himself, like he was going to die. So he eventually quit. It's tragic that he died in a helicopter accident, which is fishy as fuck. But Stevie Ray Vaughan actually cleaned himself up in the end. And he was better than ever. He was fantastic. He was at his peak when he died, which is so sad. But he never played better. He never was more together. His voice was excellent. His guitar playing was superlative. And some nights when he was younger and he was all messed up, he would just be a mess, and couldn't even get up on stage and shit like that. So it has nothing to do. Music has nothing to do, and it's the same. I mean, it extends to everything. Anyways, I'm just rambling on. Any Stevie Ray Vaughan fans? College scandal alone could be motivation to fudge IQ test. They make their own community where everyone sings their praises and attempts to validate their depraved acts. Yeah. There's a song from the late 20s and early 30s where they sing about old black magic reel me in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's true. Very true. Yeah. What would happen if most people didn't vote? Not much. 57 awesome people watching. Taylor Swift gets millions of views. That's okay. She can take them. She's just a hideous, horrible sellout from hell. And her music sucks donkey balls. You could tell her I said that if you ever run into her. So Peloton, that idiotic exercise bike company, is being sued for $300 million. I don't know about that. 1984, Jordan, Minnesota, the band Big Black has a song about it. Their parents' children. It was a sick mess. Wow. Stevie was kind of sloppy when he was messed up. Yeah, I agree. They're man, they're big. Excellent. Yep. When they say there's nothing new under the sun, it's true. Every time particular sin becomes socially acceptable, that society is doomed. Yeah, I agree, Anonymous. That's excellent. Yeah, I mean, it's sad but true. Dr. Shill is just there to trigger people and push agendas. Is there a Dr. Shill? At the very least, he's exploiting his audience. I don't know who you're referring to. Have you looked into Greta Thunberg? Yeah, that's total shill. Oh, fucking hell. I got to cover that. Yeah, I mean, come on. Fucking, they do this all the time. They did it with the GMOs, where they had a cute little girl being the head of the GMO whole movement. I think it's time you grow up. Diagnosis from fake Dr. Pill. Yeah. Decadence is bright neon sign telling you it won't be long until your society crashes and burns. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's unfortunately it's what we're seeing, and unfortunately, in many ways, we see many of the similarities that we've seen in a societal collapse in many times before. The cyclical sort of collapse of society is undoubtedly happening in the United States. There's no doubt. You could say there was a peak time in the United States, probably the baby boomer, Eisenhower era. I mean, nothing's perfect, but things were being built. People were having families. Family was the thing. Men worked, women raised families or raised kids. The economy was booming. The industry was booming. The country became the most powerful country in the history of the world. And, and then you had the 50s and, so that's the Eisenhower. Then you had the 60s, right? And the space race and all that. America still kicking butt, getting bigger and stronger. You had the rock and roll coming in. You had, I know there's a lot of other shit, the hippie movement and all that crap. But you could say that, yeah, I think the United States kind of reached its peak in the 1950s, I'd say. That would be my thing. And not to say that there weren't a lot of crazy shit and bad shit happening then, but, men were men, women were women. The ideal lifestyle was a man, going to work and a woman staying at home raising the kids. And you could buy, like Henry Ford there. You say whatever you will about Henry Ford, who did print 500,000 copies of the Learned Elders of the Protocols of the Learned Elders of the Zion. But Henry Ford, his sort of vision on making a car manufacturing plant that employees would be able to afford the vehicles and buy a home and stuff. So back in the 1950s, you could work, you could cut out of high school, get a job, buy a home. Your wife could stay at home. You could pay off the home in no time, probably in a year or two, and you'd be out of debt, and you'd be working, and living the life sort of thing, a family life. Look how far we've come from that. You think you can get out of high school now and buy a home, have a wife, and have some kids? We need to do work at McDonald's, right? It's out of this world. So yeah. Anyways, folks, I'm gonna close her up because it's super late and I've been talking all day. And I want to say thanks to everybody that came. Everybody, you guys are awesome. Really enjoyed this discussion. I apologize profusely for not being able to host Jeff C. and Friends. That's why I hosted this show, because I wanted to at least do something and interact with folks. I will get Jeff C. and Friends scheduled for next week. It might be next Friday because it seems like that's a good day for folks. But I'll have everything ready and everything ready to go. I'll have no excuses, so you can hold me to the fire if I don't hold up to it. And we'll make it a bang-up show. So, thank you very much for all the support. And, keep on keeping on. Keep support one another and fight the good fight. Put the good foot forward. Be the change you want to see. And, much love to you all. So good night, folks. Have a good one.